Hello everybody and welcome back to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, I'm a D&D sex icon. I'm back today for another episode of The World's Tree Burns, and boy is it hotting up today. So let's go around and cast some crew. Let's remind ourselves of who we are and who we're playing, because it's been like, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks since we last played. It's been so long without these wonderful people in my life. But we're back today. We have illustrious Dungeon Master Dan Dillon. Dan, how's it going tonight, my friend?
Howdy, everyone. I am doing very well. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me once again here on your channel. So I am Dan Dillon. I will be your Dungeon Master for this evening in the world of Midgard, Dark Fantasy, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, in the home campaign setting of Cobalt Press.
Fantastic, and I can't wait to get to it. We have Simply Jackson back with us tonight. Simply, how's it going?
I'm great. I am in post-holidays depression at the moment, so...
Aww.
You know how people get like post-con depression? I'm in that like, it's work again. This is great. Yep. So I'm super excited the show's back because it's like a little reprieve right in the middle of my week, so I'm super happy. Also, I would like to say, if we can put some F's in chats or some condolences, I have some grave news. McLookin has lost his beard. He put it somewhere, and it's completely gone. And now
Rip beard.
But I'm excited to be back. And I played Tilly.
It was last seen 2 days ago.
It had no company walking by itself down the street and then was missing. Plot thickens. What's happening?
It went to go get a pack of cigarettes and it never came back.
I love it.
Oof. Too real.
Far too real. Speaking of abandonment issues, McLookin, how's it going today?
I mean, I've been struggling for the past few days. I've been crying in the corner. Meta's been trying to console me, and I was just like, I don't know where it went, man. And then she would pat me on the back and say, there, and then look at me disappointedly because I'm crying over a beard. Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm McLookin. You might not recognize me anymore because I, did trim my beard very short, so I did that. But yeah, today I'm playing the fantastic Gnome Ranger Cloak. Yay! Bringing him back. And then I literally don't remember where we left off, so this is going to be a great surprise for me.
Bloody. Well, it's going to be interesting because I was going to have you recap us.
Get ready for it.
Well, Cloak, he got magical armor and a magical +3 Holy Avenger. I don't know how he got it, but just ended up in his hands, and he's like, oh.
All right, then.
Whatever you say. Amazing. Well, we have McLookin with us, but we've already introduced him. I just love him so much. He needs to be introduced twice because he doesn't have a beard. He's Thomas Cole. How's it going today, my friend? Oh man,
going good. What you did is you just confused us because without the beard, we're twins. And I'm Thomas Cole. I'm back. I'm excited to be here after all of the little bit of time off with the holidays. I had fun. Decorated my Christmas tree. I did all my things. And back ready to get back in this after bloodiness that occurred. I am playing Glass. He is a geomancer. He is a trollkin, and he is not the most subtle of people in the world, but is always right there with all of the knowledge to lay down this beat of knowledge, because that's who he is. He's cool like that.
Fantastic. And I, myself, will be playing Ryodan, the Dampier, once again, cleric. And he's got so many tentacles now, you would barely believe. Well, yes. He's had a little change of heart, let's say, from the past past season, I guess, now. And he's all about avenging. He's in a bit more revengeful mood, I would say, today. So I'm really excited for that. Can't wait to get into it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's quickly read out the sponsors. The first of which is, of course, Cobalt Press. Go over to their website, cobaltpress.com. Check out the Midgard books, PDFs, materials. Check out their awesome interactive world map. I'm sure we'll link that here in a second as well, so you guys can zoom around Zobek and environs of Midgard and check it out. Some awesome stuff. If you want to play in Midgard, you can go do so on their website over there. And of course, our regular sponsors include FancyGrounds.com, our virtual tabletop of choice. Go and check those guys out. The demo version is free, and you should definitely go and download that via Steam or via their website. WaylandGames.co.uk is a go-to destination for tabletop board games, war games, and more, up to 20% off the retail value. And last but not least, TabletopLoot.com is a go-to place to get all of your dice needs. And when we hit 20 retweets on that tweet, we're going to give you guys away a set of Tabletop Loot dice. That's the new thing this season. So go ahead, retweet it, get some free dice. It's awesome. And of course, donate to a Feta game anytime by giving players net 1s, net 20s, wild magic surges, and worse. But without any further ado, I'll hand over to McCloken to give us a detailed recap of what happened last time on the show.
Well, basically, Cloak stands on top of a pillared rock, holding his sword in the air and wind blowing his cloak, as Glaz is grabbing his leg and looking at him lovingly, as he has saved the world from everything, and Midgard is peaceful and happy, and there's unicorns and fairies and rainbows. The end.
And now it's just regular fantasy. All the dark is gone. All right, so where we actually left off last time we convened was in the cartways, the tunnels, a series of tunnels, sub-basements, catacombs, smugglers' tracks, and believe it or not, some abandoned and some working mine shafts beneath the free city of Zobek. We were in a strange chamber beneath an old abandoned tannery in the Ashmill district of Zobek. And you find yourselves in the dark, in this fitful glow, this blue radiance from the Heart of Flame lantern that Glazishin carries. It is this mote of pure elemental fire that sends this sapphire light throughout this brick, essentially, basement. And the air in here is just thick with the stench of blood. It's iron and copper and the smell of old clotted blood that's begun to rot. It's filled your nostrils. It's in the back of your throat and crawling across your tongue. And you are, all of you, covered in thick spatters of blood. There are 4 stout columns holding up the ceiling down here, and the remains of several humanoid bodies, as well as just massive explosions of half-clotted blood litter the entire place around you. You came down here following your investigatory leads into the disappearance of one of Riodan's faithful, one of the worshippers of Morena the Red. And this was his last known whereabouts, where he had met with, he was supposedly going to meet with a contact of his. That contact you found dead a few days prior, who then later rose as a vampire after you were done interrogating her corpse magically. And so that's where you find yourselves now. There is a spray of ash near the front of the chamber that used to be a mummified monk of Morena, a sacred relic of the Red Goddess. It was actually a former worshipper who, in their devotion at the end of their life, or when they'd their usefulness had run dry to the priests, the priestesses that they served, they came down here and basically took poison and strange concoctions to turn themselves into a mummy. That holy relic was obliterated by your Ravenfolk cleric, who is currently grievously wounded. She is holding a ragged wound on the side of her ribs that was torn open by one of these strange blood-pouring zombies, and she's breathing sharply, and you can hear agony kind of whistling through her beak with every intake of breath. And Glazishin, you noticed a strange phenomenon the last time she was grievously wounded. If you recall, the edges of her wounds seemed almost to evaporate into this wispy, silvery white, ephemeral smoke. And you're seeing that now again. And actually, the colors of Rowan seem washed out. The black of her feathers is not lustrous. It's almost gone to gray. And the colors on her beads and various totemic decorations that she adorns herself with, they're all just very desaturated. And she is trembling a little bit. She does not look like she's doing well at all.
Glaz looks around to Riodan. Riodan, are you able to assist here? She is hurt. She's hurt very badly.
Riordan spits out some blood and strides over towards the fallen raven folk. I could give this a try, I suppose. I'm not sure how this all works, though. Kind of new to me.
So, Riordan, you're feeling very strange at the moment. You're still kind of riding the wave of that surge of power that flowed through you as you destroyed one of the blood elementals that had swept you up into its swirling being, crushing and suffocating you, trying to suck the blood out of your body. You're the lash, the sanguine lash is in your hand, and those liquid blood barbed lashes that coil out from the handle almost seem to be writhing of their own accord, and it's like they're almost anticipating your movements. It's so it doesn't encumber you or tangle your steps or drag and catch anything, and you're trembling a little bit, and it's from a mixture of clearly adrenaline and just this closeness that you've had with something greater than yourself, and then of course just the chaotic welter of emotions that you're kind of trying to come to grips with. You stretch your gauntleted hand out and you lay it on Rowan's shoulder, and she winces in pain, and you can lay on hands.
All right. Depending on how much she needed in terms of healing, Riordan would try and do that to the max. Because I think because he doesn't really have any control over it at this point, it's just like raw energy flowing from him.
Got it. Okay, so your eyes kind of half close, and the rest of you watch as he lays his hand on Rowan's shoulder, and you can see her blood that had been pouring out of her wounds and starting to evaporate in droplets as it hit the floor, hit the stones, and just sort of boiled away to nothing with that strange silvery smoke. It begins to pour back up her clothes and pull into her wounds, and you watch as the wounds begin sealing themselves. And as this process takes place, she noticeably lets out a sigh of relief. Her breathing stabilizes, and she just seems more herself. It's like in between the space of blinks, her color is back. There's none of that strange dissolved-looking edge to her wounds, which are all nearly gone, I believe. I think you can do 25 hit points worth of healing, and I'm pretty sure she's going to need all of that, probably plus a little, but she was pretty tore up. So she is much, much better, and she nods her thanks at you and kind of struggles up to her feet from where she was kneeling amidst the slaughtered wreckage that was this blood zombie.
Quick question, Dan. It was pretty dramatic as you described it last episode of Riordan sort of getting infused with this energy. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was kind of physically looked like a meth addict before. Is this physically, does he look like he's just had a good meal, or is he like Captain America out of like the super soldier chamber?
I've suddenly got muscles everywhere.
So,
relative to where he was, because he had been on a bender for months and months.
I would say relative to where he was, it's like Steve Rogers coming out of the Vita Chamber. Yeah.
Okay.
His complexion is less sallow looking. He still looks tired. He still has, maybe some dark circles smudged beneath his eyes, but they're less pronounced. And he's just carrying himself better than he was before. Whereas before it was almost like just this sloppy negligence, just wasted effort with every step. Now his movements seem just unconsciously a little bit more efficient. He just seems much more put together. Although Riordan, I will say that feeling is starting to ebb, and kind of tiredness and exertion are beginning to settle in.
Yeah.
Glaz would sort of look at Riordan and sort of look down at, this chamber's just horrible.
This is a horror show down here, yeah.
And I think Glaz might sort of look up and kind of smile a little bit, seeing kind of the friend he knew returned, and be, well, I cannot disagree with the outcome. However, I'm not sure if Marina is the most hygienic of deities, my friend. But you're looking much better.
Girl. But
At this time, Tilly's going to trudge over, like, drenched in blood.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Tilly's hair and beard braids are matted. Oh, yeah. Her armor is just awash in rivulets of blood. Yeah.
She kind of, like, taps onto the arm of Riordan, like, hey, you look all right? I don't know what... All right? Oh, and then she'll reach over and try to lift up Rowan a little bit as she's trying to get up.
Yeah,
Rowan... happy to be in blood.
Rowan will gratefully kind of lean on you a little bit and accept your help, kind of getting to her feet. And while she is much, much better since the ministration that Riordan just gave her, she's still pretty injured, and she seems drained and exhausted. So, as a quick recap, there were those two massive elementals composed entirely of blood, and that accounts for most of the abattoir horridness down here. However, there were also some humanoid corpses, I believe most of which stood up as shambling zombies that were trying to suck the blood from your bodies. Those corpses just sort of fall broken where they lay. Yes.
You say I'll defer to McLokin, because I bet I know what Cloak is doing.
I'm going through their pockets currently.
All right, cool.
Riordan looks out there, oh, that's such a surprise. And then he's like digging, like looking for like money and what items they had on him. And drugs. So I can hold over Riordan.
If I use prestidigitation, can I give him advantage on his investigation to sort of help clean things up so it's not just everything's covered in blood?
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I'll start
I will say, actually, with the assistance of Glaz and using prestidigitation to kind of sweep the blood away, maybe back into those troughs at the side of the room, you don't even need to make a check. You'll be able to search them pretty thoroughly without any sort of ability check. So the corpses themselves seem mostly devoid of anything interesting. A couple of exceptions. You do find in the sort of belt pouches of the female corpse that was turned almost immediately by Rowan's devotion and just sort of cowered in the corner until it was butchered. You find 30 gold pieces in her pouch. And you do find up against the back wall in the corner what looks like a backpack or a satchel.
I'm going through that as they're all talking amongst themselves. Okay.
So as you head over, and Glaz is helping clear the blood away for you and all that. So you grab a hold of this leather sack and you pull it over, and you can hear the clinking of glass from inside the bag. You pull it open, and inside there are in the main pouch you see a large ceramic jug with kind of a big stopper in the top, and you can see what looks like silver inlaid symbols just kind of peeking up around the edge, as well as you see a few glass vials down in there sort of shifting around and clattering.
Okay, yeah, I would take them all out and like put them up and like analyze them.
Okay, so the first one that you pull out is probably the largest. It's that ceramic jug. It's just sort of this nondescript brown, like kind of an earthy glazed color. It has a handle on one side and a tight-fitting stopper in the top. And around the sides of the vessel are some manner of twisting arcane symbols. And each of them is inlaid in some sort of metal. You see silver, you see copper, you see iron, you see gold, and you see strange alloys of each.
Yeah, I'm very paranoid this is holding a demon. So he's like, Glaz, can you read this? I'm going to look at the other ones here. I don't want to open it.
Okay, let me see what this is. I look at the symbols and runes. Can I see if I can read them or figure it out? I figure Glass probably doesn't want to set up and down here to do like a identify ritual, but just a general idea of whether this is harmful or helpful or whatever.
Sure. So your Benian scholar specialty is runes and symbols, right? Runes and sigils?
Yes, it is.
So I will say that you recognize at least the gist of them. They are alchemical symbols. And you notice that several of them correspond to the alloys that are inlaid into them.
Oh, this is used in alchemy and transmutation and all of the fun things like that. This is, well, of course, that would make sense. This might very well have been our good friends. God, it's been a while. Who are we looking for? Phelan. It's probably our good friend Phelan. Well, he probably doesn't have need of it anymore, looking over at the remains of Phelan that we have.
And then I like as he's saying that, I'm like pulling out vials and going like, yeah, well, I'm taking this. So,
are they empty vials or full vials?
They are full vials. So inside the satchel, kind of digging around in their cloak, you find 3 vials of antitoxin.
Okay.
You also find 2 flasks of alchemist fire.
Okay.
You find 2 vials that have labels in what looks like some kind of shorthand, so you're not really sure what they are. The liquid in one of them appears to be just kind of like a slightly too thick and syrupy water. So definitely not water, but it's clear. And the other vial has a distinctly unpleasant greenish tinge to it.
Greenish tinge vial. Okay. So I'm gonna have to go talk to I forget his name every time. Did I write it down last time? Painted Man.
Painted Man. All right.
Eventually, I'll have to go talk to the Painted Man, but I'm like, yeah, I have no idea what these do.
Sure. So checking out this satchel has a bunch of like side pockets on it. It looks like I mean, this was most certainly Phelan's. And you can see that on the strap there are kind of tooled into the leather a few similar symbols to the ones that were on the jug, and you kind of recognize them now as similar to the things you saw in his notes in his laboratory. So very likely this was Phelan's stuff. In one of the side pockets, you find several familiar vials that contain potions. You find 2 potions of healing, common variety, and 2 potions of greater healing.
2 potions of healing. 2 potions.
Could do with those for next time, I'm sure. I'm going to help Rowan get up as well with, you know, one arm. Me and Tilly, 2 of us can.
Sure.
Yeah, Tilly's still pretty injured too, but she's not going to be showing it. She'll still be acting tough about it.
Yeah, how hurt is Tilly, by the way?
She's got some cuts and bruises. She's not, you know, she's not down on her
Still
knees
above half?
quite. Yeah.
Is she still above half? Barely?
Very, yeah.
All right.
Close.
Then I'd say your description is spot on. You're very winded. You're bruised and battered to hell. You probably have a bunch of like scabs and split lip and nosebleed from where that thing was trying to pull your blood out through your eyes.
Yeah.
and other fun
I like
places.
to kind of imagine it though, because she's so filthy with the blood though. It's just hard to tell like what is actually her problem and what was like their problem.
There is almost no
like post Dragon Age fight right now. This everyone's just
precisely. Yeah. Yep. This is Dragon Age Origins, and you just fought a bunch of stuff.
I think what I'm gonna do for the meantime, I'll walk up to Tilly as I'm putting the bag and like adjusting it for my height, and taking the bag and kind of putting it like under my cloak a little bit. But yeah, and walking up and like putting a hand on her, and then casting Cure Wounds. He's like, "Okay, you should feel better now." And then you'll get 2 hit points back. God damn it! I
So
am the
Cloak,
worst healer.
So
Cloak
they kind of
kinda-
giggles like it tickles. Ooh.
Cloak mutters something, and when he touches you, his hand has this faint greenish glow to it, and his touch is very warm, and this kind of tingling sensation runs through your body, and it does ease some of your like pain and stiffness, and you can feel kind of the muscle in your shield arm relax. It was feeling pretty locked underneath your armor from where you were taking just these hammer blows from these creatures, but that at least has loosened up your muscles some, so it's not so tight and locked.
To look at Cloak and be like, I think, friend, did you pillage well? Did you get a good lot of the bodies?
Well, I got some money, and then I got some potions, 2 of which I have no idea what they do, but I got some antitoxins, and I got some alchemist fire, so just in case we need to, set stuff on fire, we can start on the ground and be like, yeah, let's get out of here, and then some healing potions, but I imagine I want to hang on to those until an emergency situation. And then, we don't want to use Rowan spells or now Riordan's weird magic that I haven't seen him do before. Good healing potions.
Aye, so you fared well. Good. Proud of you.
Well, thank you. He adjusts
try to,
back and he holds out his chest.
I feel like with her arm being slightly feeling lighter or better, she's now trying to outlift Riordan with Rowan. I've got her. It's fine. It's fine.
I feel like you don't. I feel like
It's fine. Should we make our way out though? Do you think there's anything we need to stick around for? Because it's starting to smell.
Oh no! I want to get the fuck out of here.
Well, should we look around to see if there is any other way out of here other than up through the hatch? That maybe we are sort of down at the cartway level. Perhaps a secret passage or a doorway. It is kind of messy down here. We might have missed it.
quite. Yes, take a quick look around maybe before we divulge ourselves in this whole situation.
Alrighty. So yeah, you guys can check around, and giving a more kind of thorough, mindful search of your surroundings toward the back of the chamber, where that mummified body lay, and where you found the satchel, you find a section of the wall that definitely looks like it's newer brickwork, and you can see there's a doorway that's been sealed.
Ah, see?
Hmm.
The fire code says that you have to have 2 exits, and I'm sure the tannery knew these things.
I don't know if you guys want to put
I'm not the strong one here. I say, look.
I'll call over Cloak, because he usually knows how to do sneaky things with, stuff. But if not, or Cloak, do you know any of your sneaky ways to get through this door, or is it just a matter of they bricked over a door and I should pull it down?
I think they just bricked over a door. Well, hold on. Can I investigate? To see if there's a trigger? 16 straight up.
Nice. Okay, it looks like this isn't any sort of triggered secret door or mechanical thing. It looks like they just kind of crudely bricked it up.
Oh no, they just bricked it up. So you can, bash it down.
Well, I guess the real question is, do we let sleeping dogs lie here, since we are kind of banged up? Or do we want to start ripping down this wall, or maybe come back later? It's deserted upstairs, we seal it up, and if we ever need to come down and investigate later, having a boards or small day, we can come back. I kind of look around the party knowing that we all kind of just went through a thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I could really handle another one of those big blood things again. Right off the bat, I'd like to be able to at least, get a good ale in me in the meantime, because that was quite rough.
I would not mind to...
So, Cloak, with your 16, I would say that it looks like the brickwork in this doorway is fairly old. It doesn't look recent. You'd say several years at least.
This thing's like 7 years old, so or several years old, I should say. So this wasn't a recent job. Also, I feel fine. And you guys look at Cloak; he has no scratches on him, and he's like, I mean, I'm down for opening this up.
I'm also feeling fine as well. I feel great, actually.
I'm hit points. I'm okay. I'm just spell-wise. I'm down a little, but ooh, you know what I can do? Ooh, well, actually, I'm going to ask you, Dan, because I am not familiar with this attribute.
Sure.
For tremor sense, is it like echolocation, or does something have to be moving for me to detect it? Like, would I be able to go in the hallway behind this or something?
So you would not. It's not going to let you like sonar behind the wall. If there's something moving around in a passage that's in contact with the ground or the same surface that you are within range, you'll detect them.
Okay. The likelihood of something being within 20 feet of us on the other side of this wall is probably pretty slim, so that's not going to. I was thinking I could like sort of ping it, but
it's possible. Yeah, it's if you want to see if there are, rats or whatever moving around over there, that sort of thing.
I'm about 50-50 as far as my juice goes. So, but I didn't actually take any hits from the blood things down here.
Yes, Rowan took the worst of it, I think.
I mean, we could always pull back like one or two of the bricks and then see if we can see what's on the other side, if there's actually a door.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I mean, I've got... and she looks over at Riordan like, have you got her? Do you want me to go do it?
I'll be fine.
If you want to do it. Okay.
Well, I kind of look at her like, well, it's really up to you. If you would rather, be the strong, silent one and hold Rowan, then that would be fine as well. He's like strong, being far more polite
silent,
than
never my thing. And she just jumps over.
All right.
Okay,
just
so Tilly's
feelings.
Tilly's heading over to the wall.
Yeah, she'll try to at least tap through. Maybe try to use towards the end of her warhammer to tap a few bricks to break and pull them through.
So you give them a quick tap. They are mortared, but it looks like not terribly well or carefully. So you give it a few decent strength whacks, and you have one of the stones loose. And as soon as it pops loose, you smell a comparatively fresh, which still kind of dank, moldy underground tunnel, but it's not like that slaughterhouse thing you got going on in here. Puff of air blows in from a dark tunnel beyond.
It's like a winter field, a tunnel, but like a winter field. Oh, it smells great. I mean, it's definitely dark. I don't know if anybody has a way to look through with any light.
I just have the lamp you're revealing.
I'm going to say, your dark vision resolves most of the tunnel through, the little hole that you've knocked in the door. But once you bring the light up, you can see that it looks like it's a pretty tight tunnel, probably only 4, maybe 5 feet wide, and it runs probably 30 or so feet until it comes to a T-junction.
Now, through this, do I see any figures in here?
Nope.
Now?
Looks empty.
Okay. It looks like there's nobody there, but fairly tight quarters, much more cleaner than here, even though it is a tunnel.
If you can break a little hole, I can sneak through and then go scout ahead and then see what I see and not engage anything.
But do we have a way to potentially close it in case something does encounter, or if you need to come back?
Well, I'll throw Alchemist Fire at the entrance and then we just run the fuck out of here.
Well, how quickly
sounds like a great plan. I don't have any bricklaying skills, my friend, but we can work on it with you if you'd like. And just start trying to pull back some of the other bricks for me.
I'm very good with my hand. Oh, sorry. That was very rude of me.
Oh god, this change of character, I love it so much.
What the fuck? Yeah, I walk up the glass and I was like, I think he's the doppelganger.
Well, did you see the way he looks? He might just be an entirely different person. Are you sure that it's really real, then?
I don't know. We got to find drugs and then offer it to him.
But
well, hold on.
He might be clean
I
now.
found drugs.
Get them hooked again.
You say Riordan has some drugs? What?
Yeah, he's
I found drugs.
I don't think that's a good idea.
What the fuck?
We will explore. We will figure that out later. Right now, I think the question is: do we go down the hall or do we go back upstairs? I feel like exploring. Shall we take a bit more looking down here?
Quick question, Cloak. Did you grab the entire satchel, or did you pull the vials and stuff out and just?
I have the satchel. I adjusted the satchel to my size, and I'm wearing it right now.
And then I've got the jug that looks like an alchemist thing.
The alchemical
I can't imagine what it is. It's my favorite item in all of D&D.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, as soon as there's like a little passageway that Cloak can crawl through, he would go stealth in and see what he can see.
Easily done till he can bust and then pry enough stones loose for Cloak to wiggle his way through. So you pop yourself into the tunnel. It's dank, it's damp, it's moldy and slimy, but it's not covered in fresh to strangely unnaturally preserved blood. So you make your way down the corridor to the T, and it looks like it just goes off in two separate directions. Now, you guys have navigated the cartways a fair bit. I would say that you don't recognize this particular area, but given where you access them in Zobek, you have a pretty good idea of what will get you back toward the Silk Scabbard.
That would be interesting to see if this place where these blood worshippers were holed up perhaps leads to somewhere else within the city. Seeing where the other end of this is could be quite interesting, whether at the Silk Scabbard or at the sexy bookshop or maybe somewhere else entirely. The book fetish. I know the name of this.
Well, like Cloak said before, that wall wasn't new, so it's possible these things have been here for quite some time.
Well, yes, but
worth a look, I'd say.
Or either one of those institutions, the Silk Scabbard or the book fetish, fairly old? Do we know? Or is there somewhere else in the city that's fairly old comparatively?
They do look old, but
I was going to say
Riordan. Really taken much time to learn. I'm old.
I was going to say, well, how long have you been hanging in the city with Maria at the Silk Scabbard?
I haven't been here. Well, I don't know. I traveled. How long do you reckon I've been settled here in?
I'd say, I don't know, probably not much more than a year at this point.
That's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
So he's comfortable in our like district, but he doesn't know. He's not, a Zobekian by birth. So I'm not sure. Maybe. We could go to the library and take a look in some of those books of yours.
I'm sure
here goes
Porky
the doppelganger.
I'm just saying, you guys must be looking in those places for a reason. Do have information.
So what's the plan?
For me, I'm exploring one way about a good 5 minutes to see. And if I find that it breaks off or goes into like an opening, I'm just taking a note of it and then backtracking and then going the other way and doing the same thing. Seeing if there's any rooms or big openings 5 minutes out each way and then making my way back.
Okay, so you take 10 minutes or so doing your little scouting loops, and I would say that after taking the right-hand tunnel, you locate a section of other catacombs that you are familiar with, you've been in before.
Okay. Was it where we started the game?
It's probably so. You guys explored quite a bit leading up to that point, but yes, it's that sort of similar area, roughly. Remember, these tunnels go everywhere under the city, and so you know that you're pretty close to the Silk Scabbard at this point. And since you've actually stayed there and you've gone into the Cartway's entrance where the Shrine to Marena is, you are pretty sure that you can navigate to those tunnels to kind of take a back way into the Silk Scabbard if you want from here.
Okay. And then the left way, is there anything significant about
the
that?
left, there's nothing familiar or immediately interesting within a couple of minutes. Skulk from the abattoir.
Okay. I'm going to make my way back and climb through the hole stealthily and be like, okay, this is what we got. The right way, I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to get to the fuck house from there. And the left way, I went about 5 minutes down and it didn't open up to anything. It just kept being a path. And I didn't see anything down there, and I came back.
So just parts of the cartways that are not used very often, apparently.
Yes. Pretty much.
There's a lot of tunnels and they lead to a lot of places. You think that if you spend some time exploring more, you could certainly find other places you're familiar with. Your familiarity with the cartways is pretty localized to those areas you've kind of messed around in. A few different pathways to navigate your way to the black market, for instance. You have some familiarity with the tunnels under the gear district because when you were tracking Paula out through there, you explored some of those, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. We're in Lower Zobek, correct?
You're in Lower Zobek, yeah. You also suspect that some of these tunnels might take you under the Kobold Ghetto, but you also know that those areas of the cartways are likely heavily inhabited by kobolds, and they are not friendly to outsiders.
As we've discovered in the past.
I have a crazy idea.
Listening?
We have an abandoned tannery up above us here.
Yes.
And we have access to the cartways down here. While it has been nice to hang out at the Silk Scabbard all the time, and Lord knows I love D, do we want to maybe set up shop here? A sort of headquarters?
We would have to buy it.
Well, it's been sitting just abandoned and boarded up for years.
Depends how much it is, I suppose. I mean, tomorrow we can probably do something about that if we want to do that.
Just a thought.
I mean, I'm for it.
Something to file away if we need. Well, maybe a safe house for us if we need to have someplace safe to get away to. Might be a good idea.
They always say to invest in property. It's not.
What did he
So
say?
he looks at Riodan and goes, well, I will miss the dancing bear if I stay here, so maybe a general quarters. Is he okay?
I don't know.
But maybe more than a headquarters, a safe house to keep on our radar. So, Cloak, did you get far enough to know your way back from the other direction if ever we are having to run from something like those giant orc things out of the cartways that we could maybe find our way back? Pretty defensible spot we have here. Because it's a long, narrow hallway with a long, narrow room.
Yeah, and do it one by one. I mean, I think we could also probably set up a device as well as that anything that activates it shoots it.
Well,
but
maybe
I mean,
something
that's I mean, but what really it comes down to is that, like, can we afford to buy this property, or will they just give it up to us?
Well, I've changed my mind. Instead of a headquarters, I'm just thinking having it as a way, someplace we know that probably is uninhabited, that we could run to, as we seem to get into the cartways quite often. and that's to make our way here. And Glaz is like seeing this straight line of a long room with a long hallway and thinking about his lay beam that he can shoot and that he can take out pretty much a lot of folks. If we needed to fit this place between him doing lay disruption and lay bolt, lay energy bolt, I mean, we could.
Yeah, I mean, if you can trap people in a 5-foot line that they can't get out of, then yeah, you could put quite a lot of hurting on them.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, I would like to, buy somewhere to live.
Oh, yes,
I mean, it is better than having to save the in-room constantly.
But the question is, but the question is also what it comes down to is, are we going to be in Zobek for? Is it worth to purchase a place like this? Like, are we leaving anytime soon?
Well,
Tilly looked at Rowan. I mean, her vision only said to come here and find him. As far as we know for now.
Maybe something to discuss another day.
She'll nod and she'll say, but there was purpose behind the vision. I don't know exactly what it is yet, but I feel I must find out.
I'm sure some rest would be good for that, but...
Yeah, I say we leave, property buying decisions until the morning when we've all at least had a chance to rest and think about it.
Very sensible.
What?
Too
Why is he saying these things?
Some people after a battle, it's like a good stress or something.
Oh wait, did he get hit in the head? That would explain it.
Maybe you need rest for you then.
He got hit in the blood.
I didn't take a hit.
So I'm truly just forgetting. I'm asking the other players. So I know we were trying to save Phelan. Well, Phelan's dead. What was like?
Oh no, we were just trying to find out if we could find Phelan. We weren't trying to save him. I wasn't, at least. I was just trying to find out what happened to him. Yeah, and then I'd be like, "Well, Phelan's dead."
Yeah. So is our next thing is Cosina? Yeah. Is that our next? Is that kind of where we're headed? I mean, she's kind of the.
She's who we have tied to this space and event. So.
And I will remind you that the Black Shields passed you a tip about people moving from Blood Kingdoms.
Oh. Wait, what was that?
They didn't say vampires. They said people from the Blood Kingdom had snuck into Zobek.
Right. Yeah, we had.
And they're probably in the cartways. So we're going to have to go to the cartways.
You actually have
yeah.
Yep. Okay, I'll let you.
Yeah, we have an address. Darn it. We have an address. It is down. It's by. I claim I remember it. This is me trying to remember. I can't find my notes. It's over by. It's actually over by the Dancing Bear, isn't it? It's near the Gullet.
Correct. It's in the Docks Ward. Yeah, the Docks District.
Yeah. So. That's the next. But I think we should honestly do any vampire exploration during the daytime. Just in case, catch him sleeping or something. Is that you guys sleep during the day, right? I'm looking at Reardon.
It's whenever I'm tired, really.
Well,
8 hours. Can't do about it. I'm a different person.
Yes, you are.
Who was your friend who actually asked us to find Phelan? We probably should at least report back there to the Silk Scabbard and let them know that poor Phelan is... Should we? I kind of looked to Phelan's remains. Was he like corrupted, mummified, zombie dude?
Phelan's remains are actually, relatively intact. He took some weapon and spell punishment, but he's not, dismembered or anything. And it seems like whatever decay he might have suffered was very, very minor. So it looks like he was probably turned into a blood zombie very shortly after he was killed.
So I will look to Rio then. Are there rites, or should Phelan was a worshipper of Marina, and while he befell a horrible fate, should we do something? I don't know what your religion asks for, and I don't. But it seems kind of like this was the person we were meant to find. That we just leave him here in an abattoir full of blood and gore.
Well, to be honest, I rather feel like Marina was quite happy with how things worked out in the end. I mean, she did tell me to do all those things, and it kind of feels right at the moment. So I don't want to jinx it by doing any rites or anything like that, So maybe we should just leave him here to die. Well, he's already dead. Leave him here to rot, whatever it is.
It is full of blood.
I feel good about this, honestly. Very good.
Wasn't something
about this whole thing.
Identifying that you could take back to somebody who asked about him?
Could do, I suppose.
Yeah, is there anything identifying on him?
On Phelan?
Yeah.
We have the pack, right? That's Phelan's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Be like, well, there's one or two ways we can go back to the fuck house, or if you guys are gonna go somewhere else, we can take the cartways there and not be seen leaving here, or we can leave here, just out that door.
So many decisions.
I mean,
I'm fine with going the cartways.
It's fine.
You want to go out?
I feel like just thinking like oh, sorry. I got blood in my ear. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay.
I'm fine with either. It would not be a bad idea to know the way here through the cartways. That would be a smart thing for us to do.
Okay.
Quick little scouting map.
All right. Well, let's break down that door and get you guys through there. I'll lead the way.
Okay. Yeah, so Tilly makes very short work of that that makeshift wall sealing up the door. It's loud, it's dusty, and it's very, very quick. The stones tumble down to the floor, and you guys can make your way out through the cartways, kind of backtracking along the path that Cloak scouted out for you.
Quick question. Can I find, before we leave, can I find chalk?
Yes, if you don't have any, you start kind of digging around, and you search around in Phelan's pack, and in one of the other side pouches, you find a few pieces of multicolored chalk.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm on the way. I'm going to mark. I don't know what language these people know. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna do in common, write like a symbol down, or something like that, or write a C for cloak, and then kind of like do that, and then put another C along the way, and then another C, so I can tell people from the fuck house, be like,
well, if you need to come this way to get away from something, you can come to this abandoned tannery and just follow the C's, and then you'll end up in the pathway there.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you can mark the path from there to the silk scabbard, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, it's just chalk, and it's fairly damp down in these tunnels, so those marks won't last forever, but they'll last a while.
Long enough for someone to learn it, and if I have to, I can re-establish it, but...
Yep, no problem. All right, so you guys make your way through the tunnels, and after perhaps a 10-minute sort of slow-going, twisting journey through the darkened cartways, you find yourselves in a familiar tunnel, and up ahead you can see candlelight flickering from the small sanctum of Morena.
Is anyone praying at it?
So you look in, and you see that at the small altar and idol is Kaja, She's kneeling in front of it with her her hands out over a silver bowl, and her palms are very slowly trickling blood into the bowl.
I'm going to sneak up behind her and be like, not to disturb you, like really close into her ear.
Okay. So you kind of creep up on her. The most
disturbing thing someone can do.
You can hear her sort of muttering prayers sort of under her breath, mostly just mouthing them, and you can hear her breath as she breathes in and out through and catch like the corners and edges of the words. And then as your voice pierces the otherwise still darkness from behind her, she lets out a blood-curdling shriek and jumps out of 4 feet away from you and like throws her hands up and probably spatters a few drops of her blood on your clothes. Not that you'll be able to tell. She's, Don't!
I said,
what's wrong with you?
What? You just gotta be more aware of your surroundings. So,
so she kind of holds up a hand and just puts her other hand to her heart and just breathes for a moment, trying to get her heart rate back under control. After she calms herself down from her fright, you can kind of chatter at her, but she's not hearing a word, and she'll kind of stop you and say, "All right. I apologize for that. What can I do for you?"
Do you want the good news or the bad news?
She frowns and says, "Well, I'm accustomed to bad news, so let's start there."
We found Phelan.
That's the bad news?
He was a zombie. He was a zombie. He'd been a zombie for a week now, something like that. We had to put him down. And there was, 2 giant blood elementals. That was really fun. But the good news is, and then I point at Riordan and I was like, he's got a good stick up his ass.
Ta-da!
Hello, Riordan. You're feeling better?
Yes, I am rather better, thank you. How are you?
A little overwhelmed at the moment, but I'm glad to see you.
I have to apologize for my previous behavior. I seem to remember a time in which I said some very hurtful things towards you, and I do apologize again profusely for any harm I might have caused in doing so.
So she sort of blinks and kind of assimilates that for a moment and says, "Thank you for saying so. You seem turned around. That makes me very happy. But you found Phelan dead and undead?"
Oh yeah.
Right. Yes, we're on this now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, if you remember Riordan from like hours ago, he was like, "How am I going to get more drugs?" And now, Riordan, do you want to go do drugs?
Goodness, no.
Strange?
I suppose. Did this change of heart just sort of happen? Or...
Yeah, like seconds.
He was like inside of this giant blood thing. A giant wave of blood sort of engulfed him. He kind of was drowning, and he kind of looked like, well, like the real Dunn has looked, kind of smelly and skinny and falling apart. And when he came out, then he's like all this and taller.
And body disappeared when that happened.
And I feel, it's strange, I feel like I've got the exact same amount of rage and hatred within me, but I've just sort of bottled it up into this little dark corner, which I'll come to when I need it. But for the rest of me, I feel fine, a lot better actually. But don't cross me!
So she takes a few steps towards you and kind of reaches up and puts her hand on your face and says, "Well, whatever has happened, I'm pleased that you're clear again. You should go and clean yourselves up. It wouldn't do to be in public as you are. Actually, why don't you wait in the back hallway? I'll have one of the rooms cleared, a few of the rooms cleared, and I'll have some baths drawn for you, so you don't have to walk into the front of the house."
Okay.
I can try to get some of the worst of it off of us, but it won't. We'll still need a bath.
Certainly. So she kind of wraps a few strips of cloth around her palms, which weren't cut very deep, just tiny little slices. She made an offering to Morena, and she just kind of binds those up, and the sleeves of her gown sort of fall past her palms and hide it. And so she says, give me a few minutes to heat some water and clear some rooms, then come on up.
Glad's does his best to get off the big chunks of gore and stuff with Preston.
You can, so that'll probably save your clothing. Doing that, it'll still need a good thorough washing, but before it was immediate burn. Now you can probably salvage it. So after a few minutes, if you guys have anything else you want to talk about or do while you're waiting, that's fine. Otherwise, she prepares rooms and baths for you, so you can go and get cleaned up, so you don't have to walk out into the public areas of the establishment, head to toe in blood.
What time is it?
Let's see. You guys went out late at night because it was after Rowan and Riodan's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Prophetic drug trip commune session. So I would say that it's probably after midnight at this point.
Okay. So what do you guys want to do? Like just clean up and get to bed and then start fresh in the morning?
It is quite late. I would not mind having a rest and something to eat. Of all horrible things, I'm hungry. He kind of feels bad that he's hungry after being in all the gore.
I think a drink and a rest would be great, but I think that Rowan might need a little rest. Frankly, I don't know how much more she can handle. So.
She seems pretty exhausted, and after Kaja leaves, Rowan just sort of sinks down onto one of the simple stone benches in the chapel there, and just kind of pulls her cloak about herself, and kind of keeps to herself, and she just kind of numbly goes and cleans up once the baths are drawn, and she says, I think I'm going to return to my room for a while. I need to rest very badly. I'm not much feeling myself at the moment. That was very close.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're fine.
So Rowan is going to take her leave and head back to the Dancing Bear, where you guys have your rooms.
Tilly will obviously escort her back too and go.
Okay. So after you guys clean up, you can kind of get back into your armor, and you can escort her back to the Dancing Bear Inn at the Docks District. So what's the plan for the rest of you this evening?
I don't know what anyone else is going to do, but
Glaz is going to take a bath. He is going to get a meal, and if his friend Vela, golly, I've got to get all my names remembered again. Valia. If Valia is around, perhaps how about a nice game of chess?
So it is after midnight.
Oh, I forgot it was so late. I'm sorry. He'll go to bed.
That's all right. She is actually around. She is in the common room when you come out. It looks like she's having a small nightcap, and she is dressed in a gorgeous silk gown. Her hair is done up. She has lovely jewelry on, and it looks like she was somewhere somewhere important or somewhere fashionable, and she has kind of a fur wrap that's laid off to the side in the booth that she's sitting in, and she's just sort of looks like she's winding down for the night. Maybe that she just came into the bar after you little bit before you came out into the front area. So when you kind of make your way over, she looks up, and her eyes seem a little. She seems tired, but she brightens up and smiles when you approach, and she says, "Oh, hello, Glaz. It's a little bit late, isn't it?"
Oh, yes, it has been quite a night. I see you're having a little something. Do you mind if I join you just for some maybe warm tea with a little schnapps in it? I think I will have to try to settle my nerves. It was quite an adventure we've had. You've had quite a night, it looks like, as well. A gala or a embassy ball or something?
Nothing quite that fancy, yes, but there was a party. I had a lovely evening. It sounds like you definitely need something to settle your nerves. Please sit down, sit down. And she waves over Drajan and gets your order taken care of.
Yeah, like my normal midnight nip, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Peppermint schnapps.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I was thinking it's something weird, probably like chamomile and peppermint schnapps or something bizarre like that, but something very Tolkien-esque. And
herbal tea with room for.
Yes, it is interesting, but I have good news. Riordan seems to be somehow restored. It is. I don't say this lightly. I believe it could be a miracle.
She smiles broadly at that, and she says, "Oh, that's so good to hear." Kaja was just beside herself.
He has been a concern for all of us for quite some time, but don't worry. He's a bit changed, but the real Dan's that we all know and have become accustomed to is still in there. But a new leaf, perhaps, for our friend.
Well, that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Speaking of, can I interest you in a game before bed?
I was hoping you would ask, but I didn't want to impose after you've had such a long evening.
Oh, not at all.
Something simple, chess, or perhaps bridges and barges?
I think simple for this, for the capstone to this day would be good, don't you think?
Very much so. The conversation is more important than the game.
Exactly. She pulls out the board and starts setting up, and so you guys have a relatively short, relaxing game. You're pretty sure she's taking it easy on you, but it ends up being basically just the exact pace of play and conversation that you need to help settle down and get yourself to the point where you feel like you can head home and reasonably get some sleep.
Have a lovely evening. I'm going to head off. Dee will probably be making waffles tomorrow, and I don't want to miss them. But it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. She lays her hand on your forearm and says, "Sweet dreams, class."
You as well. You as well, my dear.
Okay. And as you head out, she kind of settles back into the booth with a little smile on her face and just starts putting the chessboard away. So, anything else we're wanting to do this evening, or shall we move on to post-rest?
Riordan goes and gets a bath.
Right. Riordan, I'm going to say at this point, that sort of adrenaline and spiritual high you were riding has broken, and it's just like a 10-ton weight of weariness crushes down on you. The kind where your bones are made of lead, and it's just hard to pick your hands up, and you have to kind of consciously will each individual step. So you, after you're feeling clean and cleansed, really, you just sort of fall into bed, and for the first time, not in a stupor, just into this deep and the most restful sleep you've had in months.
Ah, delight.
So, y'all can. Yep, you got something to do, Luke?
I was going to go to the book fetish.
Oh, interesting. All right. Okay.
So I would make my way there just because Linda? I forgot her name. Ellen Dora
Layla?
told me to come back later that night for Layla to ask her what painful pleasures is, because he's not 100% sure.
All right. Okay, so you make your way across the bridge into the Collegium District, down the darkened streets, and to the alleyway that houses the book fetish. And even though it's, at this point, probably 1:30 in the morning, you head up, and there is soft, warm light from inside, from basically shaded lamps. You open up the door, and Layla is behind the desk, and she looks up from a sheaf of parchments she was looking at, and she smiles brightly when she sees who it is. So there was a kind of a standard greeting on her lips that just sort of stops, and she says, "Well, good evening, Cloak. I'm very happy to see you."
Oh, yeah, hey.
I look around. Is anyone else here?
There's nobody here at the moment. Looks like the shop front is empty.
I was like, why is the store still open?
Still? Oh, we haven't been open that long. We don't close until dawn.
Oh. Right, so, okay. I talked to Ellen Dora earlier. You weren't here, but she told me to ask you about painful pleasures.
When you say that, she, her smile grows just a little bit, and she says, "How interesting. Do you have any idea what it is you're asking?"
No, it was, as I said before, you know, in research with what happened with Phelan, which, unfortunately, has not been good news on that point.
Her expression falls a little bit, and she said, "Well, I suppose I admit I begun to suspect that there might be some bad news rising on that front, just because of how long it's been since we've seen him. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you and your friends are looking so intensely for him, and it doesn't strike me that you folks get involved in things unless there's danger involved."
Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of danger involved. I made it out unscathed, but you know.
I'm very glad you did. So, she kind of looks toward the door and glances toward the crimson tapestry hanging behind her, and she says, "You seem to spend a lot of time at the Silk Scabbard, so I know that you're no prude. What is it that you're interested in?"
I mean, what is it?
Well, the Temple of Painful Pleasures. I suppose it's a somewhat more specialized establishment, but along the same lines as the Silk Scabbard.
Oh.
Her smile breaks into a little bit of a grin as the realization strikes you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. That meant, okay, painful and pleasures. So it's like those kind of people. Okay. I understand now.
Well, all kind of people.
Well, I mean, like a certain type of, you know, like, not everyone likes goat's cheese. They acquire a taste for it. You know, it's that kind of similar thing.
I suppose that's a good enough analogy, yes. If you're curious, I can point you to the right shelf, and she points over to one of the sections of the bookstore.
Okay, yeah, I would go over and grab one of the books.
So, those are... Well, how interested are you?
Just passing knowledge. I mean, I'm not...
Passing knowledge, that case will do you. If you're interested in anything a little less sanitized, let me know, and I can get into the private collection for you.
Okay. Well, let me go through this, and then we'll have that discussion.
Certainly.
He still has no idea what she means by that, and he's like, okay.
Did you want to peruse it here, or would you like to purchase it, or perhaps borrow it and take it home?
I mean, I could peruse it here and then chat with you. I've had a long night, and I just kind of want to relax a little bit and have the company.
Oh, absolutely. Well, make yourself at home. It looks like you have the run of the place tonight.
Yeah, is there usually people here?
We have our busy days and our slow days. This looks like a slow one.
Mm-hmm. And then he would kind of like peruse through the book and see what he can like.
She kind of pauses after she says that, and then she says, "Then again, maybe it's a busy night, just in a different part of the establishment."
Oh, how big is this place?
She sort of lets you go and get settled. She says, "Oh, we have an annex, I suppose you could call it."
Can I see the annex?
One step at a time.
Okay. I like secret tunnels. I don't.
And then he kind of goes through the book.
She laughs this silvery little laugh and says, "Well, then maybe you'll fit in nicely here. We'll see." Okay, so you can settle down in one of the little sitting and reading areas and crack the book open. So this book is it's a very well written. It seems almost like an account, a traveler's account of different establishments they visited across the 7 cities and the crossroads region of Zobek. But as you read a little bit, you realize that there's a very common thread here. Not only is this person visiting houses of pleasure, this person has very particular tastes, and they usually involve mixing pleasure with pain. So this particular book is, you'd call it like it's kind of like the normals version of getting into some deeper stuff. This only scratches the surface, and it seems like it's a very gentle introduction. Okay. Now, so how much cloak will pick up on that? That's up to you. But
I think it's very much. He's very much describing like BDSM and all that kind of stuff. So
yes, but it's in a very soft introduction, sort
like
of way.
Dr. Seuss rhymes. So basically, he would like actually kind of like think about what it's saying and kind of go back to his thoughts to Nihheim, and he would remember something that happens monthly, and he would think about how a sacrifice would be torn down and then like tortured by devils. And then he just like slams the book shut as he like goes to that thought, and he's like,
"Yeah, I don't think that's my cup of tea." Not that. No, it's not. I had another memory that. No, don't read into that. I'd love to explore the place though.
So she gives you a very speculative look, and she says, "Tell you what. Why don't you take that book, spend all the time you want with it. If you feel that you still want to explore after you've finished it, however long it takes you, take your own time. Then we can talk some more. All right?" Because she has there's this little edge of concern on her expression. As she sort of assesses you after your little, not exactly outburst, but your reaction there. She says, "I wouldn't want to drop you into something you're not comfortable with far too quickly."
Oh, yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I mean, we'll spend the night on it, but I mean, I don't think that's my kind of thing. I'm not really intimate with people or anything like that, and I don't like being tied up at all. That's just fine. A couple of my things. But I mean, I'll come back tomorrow night and we can talk more. I enjoy our conversations.
As do I. I hope you do come back, one way or the other.
And he's like, "All right," and he like puts the book in his thing, and then walks out the door. And he's like,
"I'll be back tomorrow. I'll bring back the book."
I'll look forward to it. Take all the time with it that you need. Don't feel the need to rush.
Okay.
He walks
so
out
she
the
just
door
kind of, you can just feel her eyes on your back as you head out the door.
Is she watching my gnome butt?
As the door closes behind you, I said your back. As the door closes behind you, your cloak tightens a little bit around your shoulders.
Like it's, can I get
like
insight?
Like the edges of it kind of wrap around you a little bit more.
Like it's trying to protect me?
Yeah, it feels a little bit like that, yeah. Or
Okay.
maybe less protect, maybe more comfort?
Like a hug.
A little bit. Like a hug with some iron to it.
Okay. He's just like, oh. And then marches on back home.
All right. Okay, so you all get a well-needed night's sleep, and you can reconvene in the morning after you finish your long rest. As you guys get yourselves together, I'm going to step away for just a moment, but feel free to begin your talking and plotting. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, quick question. Where are we all meeting?
Good question.
We didn't talk
I
about
would
it.
assume Silk Scabbard has sort of been the central spot that we've been at for most things. I mean, I can't imagine that. It just sort of seems to be a spot where we can get food and drink and plot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I feel like even if you guys weren't there and we were trying to find you there would be somebody there who would know where you had gone to. Like it was a library or whatnot. So that would at least be, I think, Tilly and Rowan's first initiative is to go to the Silk Scabbard to find y'all after the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm not sure if we actually need to go to the library at this point. We have an address of folks from the Blood Kingdom in the Dock District.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I agree, it makes sense to go during the daytime in case there is a vampire there. The nice part, I recall, I believe my Lantern of Revealing is daylight. It's not actual light. I think it is daylight, which could be a big deal.
It's either it is daylight or it can cast daylight. I can't remember specifically. I remember something about daylight.
I think it's bright light. It does not say daylight.
So the Heart of Flame is not actual sunlight, if that's what you were thinking, but it is magical. It is magical light and can therefore be proof against magical darkness.
Gotcha. Okay. I knew there was something I couldn't remember.
It is most definitely not sunlight.
Sunlight, right.
Sunlight, sunbright.
Yes.
So we were just saying we probably would all reconvene at the Silk Scabbard in the morning or whatever time after we got the appropriate amount of time to get a long rest.
Sure. So yeah, you guys just need the 8 hours to finish the long rest. So I mean, you can be up anytime between, I would say, 9 and 11 the next morning. Be up, put together, ready to go.
Yep. Glaz will have packed so that he doesn't miss waffles at D's.
Yep.
Good morning, everybody. How are we all feeling today?
I'm doing quite well. Miss got the little made waffles, so it is always a good day when there are waffles.
I have Puff with me this time.
Okay, cool.
And I'm like, oh no, it's pretty good. Had breakfast, and you know, as Glaz said, waffles are a good day. I had a second helping because I don't know how long this is gonna take.
So, how much reading did Cloak do the night before? Did he read any more at home, or did he just kind of leave that off?
He probably read a little bit, and just to see what the story was about, and like if there was like any kind of like hidden meaning, or like hidden text within it, because
I would say
paranoid mind.
Yeah, I would say you're primed to think that way. I would say that you're definitely picking up there is some sort of undertone of an agenda, but it doesn't seem to be anything like what you're familiar with. And I would say spending some time thinking about it, you suspect that the author might have been something along the lines of like Kaja, someone who works one thing but then has some other philosophical outlook that meshes with that, but in a way that's not safe, or that's not safe to just spout openly.
Okay. I would, if everyone's busy doing stuff, I don't know if I have time right now or if we're going right out to it. I would go talk to Kaja.
That's entirely up to you guys.
I would look to Ryodan and just sort of give him sort of a look over and then be like, but more importantly, how are you feeling, Ryodan? You had quite a day yesterday.
I did, I did, and I've come down a little bit from all that. I've had a rather change of faith, I suppose. Well, not really change, I suppose, just a slight altering of the way that I come at things, and they're a lot more vengeful. I mean, there's just this well of real hatred within myself. That I could access at any given time, really just fly off the handle. Kind of a blood rage sort of thing, I feel like. But, really holy, really faithful. Yeah. But for the rest of the time, my mood is much improved. I feel like I've kind of purged myself of a lot of drugs, and I feel a lot better, just anytime I tap into that well, be on the lookout.
You look good. Your hair is all shiny and nice again.
Yes, it is come back, isn't it? Thanks,
your
Marina.
Teeth are white. How are your teeth white?
Must be the Moretta brand.
I look around cautiously to see if anyone heard that.
I mean, I assume you guys are keeping.
Oh yeah, we're.
Like you've got one of the.
I don't know with new Ryodan. I don't know how he is yet.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you guys tell me, where are you having this conversation? Just get your own table, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's our kind of normal private little.
I mean, it's also keep in mind it's morning at the Silk Scabbard. There ain't a crowd, so you guys have your.
It's like being at a strip club in the morning.
I was gonna say it's. Let's just say it's not the A squad.
Oh yes, that relatable.
And one guy sweeping the fight pits,
Yeah, basically that's what they're. This is where a lot of base, cleanup, inventory, that sort of stuff happens. The things that actually make the business run, that sort of stuff happens now when there's maybe a handful of patrons most of the day. So, yeah. So you guys have the run of the place.
So, people from the Blood Kingdom have infiltrated and are holed up at this address down at the Dock District. I think Cloak was correct. It makes sense after our experience in the graveyard, he says quietly, that we should probably do this at daytime? Yes?
Agreed. If there are any unsavory individuals, daytime might be best.
And Tilly, I mean, of anybody, you basically just kind of fought your way across the Blood Kingdom. You probably know more than anyone on how to deal with these unsavory types, as Ryodan spoke of.
I've definitely experienced a few of their strategies, but I mean, a lot of the time it's a lot of chaotic just fighting. So I imagine once we get closer, once we know more of our quarters or where they are, I should be able to potentially know some idea based on our fights with them previously what they could be using tactic-wise, but I don't. Other than that, I mean, it's all just plumaging and beating them and raining blood, the usual stuff. So, but I could look into it. I mean, I just don't know. I'm not familiar with the location yet.
Oh no, I just so get ready for a fight. Basically, is what you're saying.
I mean, the term that he used as in blood rage is pretty spot on with most of these unsavory types, I would say. So I would definitely, especially after what we just encountered in the downstairs. We should be prepared, majorly. Did you figure anything out last night about the potion that Cloak found?
Oh, that might be a good idea for us to take a little bit of time to identify some of these things that we have. And Glaz will, spread out his big moose skin and lay out his stones and runes. And actually, just to confirm, the jug and the jug and the 2 unidentified potions. And I kind of think I want to put the bag on that. Do you mind if we check to see if there's anything with the bag as well?
Yeah, I was going to suggest that too. And
so I would even mention that Cloak, in the morning when you were getting yourself ready to go, you were looking for the book that you tucked away, and it actually took you a little bit to find it because at first you missed it in the pouch of the backpack that you are positive you put it in, but you had to search through the damn thing like 3 times until you found it. It's sort of like the USB thing where it doesn't matter which side you start with, you always have to flip it twice before you get it to plug into the socket correctly.
Look how
somehow
I'm
excited. You keep searching past it.
Yeah, I put that up there, and I was like, yeah, it can hide things really well. I need to thoroughly go through this thing.
So
okay,
take about 40 minutes to do all 4.
So you are checking the jug, the satchel, and the 2 unidentified vials.
Right. Well, I think that's the only things. Everything else we knew the healing potions. We know healing potions.
Yeah. Yes. The healing and greater healing potions, you can identify them. You've seen enough of them, you can identify them very easily.
Yeah, they have thick water, the green liquid.
Yep. Okay.
The jug.
So I will say you can even do a quicker check on those where you can set the Heart of Flame down and touch each of the vials to the lantern, and neither of them react, which tells you that they are not magical.
Oh, okay. Cool. That works.
And I will say, now that you're kind of in daylight and not skulking around in blood-soaked cartways, you can see that the stoppers on each of those small vials are sealed with lead.
Oh, there's something good. So we could take this to the Alchemy's Guild, or I could go to my friend Smelly Boy. What is his name? Mortal. I can get with Mortal.
Model, yes.
I was going to Mortal because I don't want to tell him I have this bag. Not yet.
Okay, so you do want to. So checking the jug and the bag, both of them are indeed magical. When you touch them to the lantern, this faint, shimmering blue glow, as if they were backlit by that blue flame, kind of crawls around them. So you spend your time going through your ritual casting, and you do indeed, joy of joys, identify each of them as an alchemy jug and a Heward's handy haversack.
So, these are fun. These are up in Bemia. People used to have these things because they are fun. The cloak. It's not just that it has ways to hide things well. It actually has a small little spot in it that is a portal to another dimension, and you see when you put it in there, it files it away in this little portal. You can put lots of stuff in it as he sees everyone glaze over.
Like Cloak is understanding, and then as he puts lots of stuff, and he just gets that down face, I guess. As he looks at everyone else, looking confused at him. He's like, "No, I got you. That's okay."
Riordan looks like politely interested.
Oh, one trick. And I would assume that being a Bimian scholar, I would know this. One trick we should do just to make sure, I turn the pouches inside out to see if anything else comes out.
Oh, very good, very good.
I know that. I mean, I know that, but being a Bimian scholar...
Yeah. No, I would say that extra-dimensional holding vessels of various kinds were common enough in Bemia that you know that if you turn them inside out, whatever was in there comes out. So... anything that Cloak still had in there, any of the vials or anything, those come tumbling out. I think you guys have removed all of those, though. The next thing that happens is there's just sort of a clattering and cacophony of things falling out of the haversack. and you hear the clang of a crowbar and clunking of torches that come falling out, clatter of chalk. A few of those pieces of chalk break on the table as they fall out into it. You find just all kinds of stuff in there.
So basically like an explorer's pack or something.
Essentially, there's an explorer's pack in there, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, well...
It's good to double check. You never know what might be hiding in an extra-dimensional space.
Well, this is fun. And then I would start putting my extra shit in there then. My actual... more of my explorer's pack stuff in there. And then...
bear in mind, it does have a weight limit.
Okay. I think I don't have a lot on me other than like my money and then the antitoxins. I have three antitoxins.
So it has a main pouch, a main central pouch in the backpack that holds 80 pounds, and each side pouch, or 2 side pouches, each hold 20. So it can hold 120 pounds of stuff, and it never weighs more than 5.
Okay, so yeah, I would put all that in the money, especially because I have 273 gold, 1,000 silver, and 1 platinum. I would put that in there.
I would say this one is less of a backpack, and it's more like a satchel or a messenger bag.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, there you go. A little bigger, but yeah.
I have a man purse. And I would put the extra backpack in there, and like I kind of organize everything as everyone's talking, and like putting the torches together.
As you're going about it, you start to realize that it's a godsend for organization, because as you reach into one of the pouches, whenever you think or will what was in there, it's always right on top.
Okay. No drugs fell out?
No drugs fell out.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, no drugs.
And Tilly, this is fun. You will like this. One of my roommates, well, not really roommates, one of my dorm mates, I guess is the best way to call it at Bimia, had one of these from his great uncle. And I open up thing, go, beer.
All right, so yeah, he opens up the jug. When he says beer, it fills with this delightful, foamy, dark amber beer.
Well, I've never seen anything like that, but it seems like the best thing I've ever seen, if you know what I mean. Where did that come from?
We found it down there with all of the blood. But it will do beer. I've had honey before. It does mayonnaise, but the mayonnaise goes bad before you can ever use all of it, because who needs a whole jar of mayonnaise? But all sorts of different things that you can make the...
not just a whole jar of mayonnaise. It makes 2 gallons of mayonnaise.
Gallons of mayonnaise. I was like saying the alchemy jug of mayonnaise. Yeah.
I mean the mayonnaise doesn't seem like
beer.
Anything, but...
That's like, remember that it doesn't necessarily hold all of that at once. That's just how much it can produce in a given day. So it creates a hell of a lot of mayonnaise, but like you could just keep pouring it for a while, because that's not a 2-gallon jug.
I would look at Tilly as I'm like organizing stuff and all that kind of stuff. I'd be like, Tilly, you're just going to use it for beer.
I mean, why wouldn't I use it for anything else? I mean, you guys got me running ragged across the town, so far away from any sort of tavern, Of course. Why wouldn't I?
It's a gallon jug, but it makes 4 gallons of beer.
Yeah.
It's the size of a milk jug or whatever. Yeah, I had never read the fine print on these before. I always just went straight to the table.
So what you're saying, Glass, is I can ask you for beer at like any time?
Pretty much.
Just give it to her.
Perfect.
Yeah, actually, do you want it? I was going to say, actually, we should talk. I don't know if our the Dungeon Master has thoughts in his head of things.
So
we should. If you want to barter about it later.
The alchemy jug was a donation magic item for Glaz. So if you guys decide later that you want to move it around or trade it, you may. You're certainly welcome to do that. But that was by intent going to Glaz.
I mean, I kind of like the idea of just being like, a glass. Like, can I have a glass of beer? And then you'll be like, hey, there you go. And then I'll just have a little mug of beer, and then you can just carry it. Because I've got to carry almost everything else anyways, so...
Oh no, I can carry stuff now.
It'll be our bonding experience, you know, you and me.
I've been meaning to want to get to know you better, as I know that our two peoples do not have a wonderful history. I've been reading some up in the library about such things.
I now you know I was so cautious about you when I first met you. But you're a pretty nice guy. She'll tap you on the shoulder.
And what can 4 gallons of beer a day not fix, right?
Right? Hey, perfect. See, and now I know you're my kind of guy. I feel you. So, and then this whole time, I'm sorry, but Rowan, are you feeling all right? Like, did you get a good night's rest with everything?
So, Rowan actually would have excused herself for the day when you tried to get her out of her room, or I guess you guys. I don't remember if you guys are sharing a room or if you have two. Up to you. Either way, she would say that she is not feeling well, and you should go on without her. She was going to stay in the day and rest.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. Just retract that statement. I just talking to myself over here.
Yep. Sorry, that played out in my head earlier, and I forgot that you guys don't get to see that stuff.
No, that's fine. I think at that point, like, Tilly would tell them about Rowan not feeling well and staying in. Sometimes it happens whenever she's had a vision, so she might have had something to tell us about later. But
and I would say that you saw that she had parchments and a book, basically like a big blank book that she's been writing in forever. She writes probably almost constantly. She sketches things. She chronicles stuff that she's been doing, and then she repeats it to herself to memorize it, and kind of it becomes part of her catalog of tales. So it looked like she was furiously writing and reciting to herself when you kind of went to get her in the morning. So she was in the midst of that.
And would Tilly have seen any? Tilly's not a very prodding type on stuff like that.
No, you've seen her do this before. You suspect it's part of her devotions.
Okay. All right. Yeah, she seemed very busy, so we might be without her today for whatever task you'll need to do. I don't know if you wanted to go talk about purchasing that house or not, or if you wanted to proceed to the library to learn any more about your portions, or what?
I think while it's daylight, probably our next big step is to at least maybe scout out. Cloak can be very sneaky and maybe see what... This is one of those cases, I don't think we want to just kick the front door down. I think we need to actually maybe figure out exactly how we want to approach these folks from the Blood Kingdom, or see what they are up to. We don't want to go in and kill them or wipe them out or something, and then be at another dead end. They probably have a contact or something, and I guess our big goal is, well, Cosina, right, Riodan?
Right, yes. I mean, she's been rather interested in me, and I've got this feeling inside of me now, which is sort of just kill her, get rid of her, holy execution kind of thing. I didn't really have before. So I really think, send me in, I'll attack her with the tentacles, rip out her eyes, maybe her tongue, maybe some kidneys.
Just talk over
She's got 2, more the better.
So maybe we should scout it out, whatever the location is, see if we see any faces in and out.
Scouting is a very sensible idea. I think it's a very good idea, Tilly, yes. And then, like I say, I'll go in with the eyeballs, the tongues, kidneys, liver, kind of thing. But first, scout it out. Let's not be crazy about this.
Is he more darker, but just happy about it?
Dark and happy is kind of...
So a quick note on mechanics, Will. When you use the tentacle rod, you can remember sorry, not the tentacle rod, the Sanguine Lash. You can use it as a scourge, as a weapon on your own, or you can direct it to make its lashing attacks. When you direct it to make those attacks, you can't use Divine Smite on those 3 attacks, because that's the scourge making the attacks, not you. So just keep that in mind. If you wanna smite people with your paladinness, you actually gotta go at them with the attack action and all that good stuff.
Cool.
Okay.
Tilly scoots her chair a little further away from Raiden. What would you like to try?
Scouting.
Glad?
Oh, I think it makes sense. But as you speak about that, your lash, and I'm so glad we got it back for you. But didn't your visions with Rowan and what we know about the fact that pretty much the last two people who have had the lash, she has found them and killed them. So we should be very much on the lookout and keep our eyes.
Maybe she'll come find me.
She might. And now I don't like that expression, eyes peeled, anymore after you talked about your lash and eyeballs. But we should keep our eyes out for her ambushing us or things.
Right.
So, with great care to the dock district.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, just to have a cover story, we could be going towards the dancing bear, or pretend like we're lost and can't find the dancing bear. If for some reason people want to know why we are lurking and skulking about this address. Is it anywhere near the dancing bear, Dan? I totally just kind of made that up.
I would say it is not. Let me find the key there on the map. So the dancing bear.
69. 69 on the map.
It's not super close to there. It's actually down closer to the river.
Okay.
It's kind of just across the way from Wharf Street.
Okay.
So kind of across the street and down a little bit from 66, if you're looking at the map there.
Gotcha. Down from the barbers. Gotcha. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Little ways down from the Blue Barbers.
Well, someone went to the barbers. Rowan went to the barbers and got her feathers waxed.
She did.
Oh, those gnomes are there.
Anyway, there are plenty of excuses we can have for us to be wandering around the district and sticking our noses where they don't belong.
True.
Well, that's I said we start going.
Okay.
Yeah, let's head that way.
Yep. You guys head out and make your way down the street toward the bridge. As you are nearing the first bridge, you can see, you kind of cast some slightly uncomfortable glances toward the Shrine of St. Charon, where a few nights previous you dug up the corpse of the tiefling drug dealer. And you can see, again, like that, all the disturbance there has been put to right. You can see that there are still some city watch nearby on a nearby corner, sort of across the way, keeping an eye on things. And you also see a contingent of soldiers in gleaming breastplates and led by a fellow in full plate armor. The breastplates all have a burnished bronze emblem of a sun, a solar disk on them. The fellow in the plate armor has a white surcoat with a similar gold thread device on the front. Riodan, you recognize this symbol immediately. These are worshippers of the sun god Kors. The fellow in the plate armor has kind of a thick brown mustache, and his hair has been cropped close to his skull, and he carries his helmet just kind of tucked under one arm. And as they're walking by, they exchange a few words with the city watch who are there. And as that conversation progresses, short though it is, the mustachioed man, his face grows very dour, and you can see his jaw muscles clench. And he goes over and speaks to the individuals who are walking along with him, and they cross the street toward the shrine. and the graveyard.
Hmm.
And this is the graveyard where we had the vampire.
That is the graveyard where you dug up the vampire spawn, yes.
Okie dokie.
Did you all see that?
I don't know. The shiny man.
I mean, they were well armored, but I don't know what.
Worshippers of the sun gods. Like look at that.
I mean, would Glaz have knowledge just from his studies? I mean, is there, I'm assuming the worshippers of the Sun God and the Blood Kingdom, don't get along, and Dan Fears probably fit into that.
You can go ahead and make an intelligence religion check, and we'll see what you know about them.
Okie dokie.
Cluck would just look at everyone. I was like, I don't know. They look like bright guys.
Ha ha!
That would be a nat 1. I didn't pay attention.
Yeah, you're not super familiar with them. They're not terribly prominent. Like, you've seen similarly garbed soldiers moving around every now and then, but quite honestly, you really don't pay attention. You just always assumed they were some specific regiment of the Zobek Watch, which is also Zobek's standing army. I mean, heck, they have Griffin Riders flying overhead, so yeah, guys in gold armor, why not? And since there's no real prominent temple or cathedral to cores here, it's kind of a low-key faith. So it's something that just kind of scooted under Glaz's radar. Your fear, Riodan, is that is one of the Order of the Undying Sun, and if so, you need to watch yourself because they are essentially tailor-made to destroy vampires in particular. And anyone vampire-blooded can very easily catch their ire.
I pass that on to the party as well. So I better be careful around here, but it might also mean that our suspicions about those other folk, less than desirable people that we think might be in the area, may well be in the area.
Well, or maybe they discovered about...
Or maybe no longer in the area, quite, yes.
Well, and even if we get into real trouble, maybe we run towards these people.
Sure enough.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Well, all of us can. Maybe you run the other way. I smile at Riodan, big tusky smile.
No, we're best friends.
Well, run away from them. He runs away from the vampires. We run away from the vampires, but we run to them, but he does not run towards them because we wouldn't want them
okay. I thought you were telling me to run in a different direction and be a distraction because Riodan's like nice now and he wants to go to the library and stuff. Because I don't know why, but...
Oh, no. I'm worried that they would be, oh, we were so confused. It was a vampire running towards us, and so we smited them. And that would be bad, because I don't want three of them to get hurt. Because he's not really jealous now.
What do you get hurt? I don't know.
So, yeah, you guys can basically just kind of head on your way, and it doesn't seem like these gold-clad individuals pay you any particular mind, as it looks like they just kind of move across the street, and they set the soldiers sort of set themselves up, much like the other contingent of watchmen are, and they're just sort of watching the area, talking to each other. They don't look like they're patrolling particularly. It just looks like they've kind of stopped to chat. The plate-clad fellow breaks off from them and heads into the graveyard. And they kind of hang back. And that's probably about the time when you lose sight of them, unless you want to hang around.
I don't.
Okay. Then you guys make your way right across the bridge. Into the Collegium District and across in short order to the docks. So you find yourself approaching the gullet, where just the bustling commerce of the river is already in full swing at this point, kind of late morning, probably where we've gotten to now after all of the discussion and breakfasting and all that good stuff. So you can see that there are boats and barges offloading and loading. You see just cartloads and wagon loads of wares being rolled down the streets, clattering along the cobblestones, and you can hear fishmongers barking the morning's catch. There's just this press of citizenry and city life bustle going on around you.
Would Tilly see her vessel that was docked here? I mean, is this the same area of the docks?
So you'll have to kind of go across the bridge to the gullet, which is this long, thin island that the docks come off of. You guys are just kind of seeing it from afar. You're a little bit elevated up a hill, so you can kind of see all of that going on, and you're kind of getting into the edges of it as that sort of bleeds out into the rest of the city. So if you wanted to go check on your vessel, you could head that way, but you'd have to get closer to the river to get a good look.
Tilly's gonna converse with Glass and say, we did dock our vessel across the gullet over there. If we need an excuse as to why we're here, or if we need to check it for some reason, or use it for an escape for some reason, you know. But I forgot this is the same docks that we were at. It's been a few days.
Yep. So it's not super close to where you are, but I'd say, basically, if you follow the road down, weave your way through the buildings and get up to the river, you'd probably be within 500 feet of where your boat is docked. So you could see it, certainly easily.
Yeah.
Getting to it, you'd have to follow the road, cross the bridge, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. But it's relatively close, yes.
And Tilly is a bit perked up being close to water again, because she's not been.
Yeah, just smelling the air, the air over the river. Now, it's not the sea, so could be better, but it definitely lifts your spirits and gives you just this jolt of energy and liveliness as you take that into your lungs. And so you guys approach the corner that is relatively close to the address you were given. How are you wanting to go about this?
So there's a lot of hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of building is this? Or are we at
what
the
you
address?
guys are looking for is essentially it's not too dissimilar to the place that you and Glaz rent from D, although a little bigger. So it's basically a small house.
And is it on the street?
It's on the street, and it's kind of nestled in a densely packed cluster of other buildings, and it looks like the river might be right up against the back of that building cluster.
Okay. And does it look like anyone's home?
Why don't you give me a wisdom perception check? I'm sorry. Give me an intelligence investigation check.
All right. Straight up.
The joint.
12.
12. It looks... you don't see any sign of habitation. So the shutters on the windows are all closed. You don't see any movement or any light from the inside. Yeah, it looks like it's closed up pretty tight.
And there's a back way, but it's along the river?
You're not sure if there's a back way. It looks like this cluster of buildings that the house is kind of part of, quote unquote, does butt up right against the river. If there is a back door, it is going to be close to the riverbank.
Okay. So I am just going to walk towards the back of this place like I live there.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, you just sort of wander off into the alleyway. Why don't you go ahead and make me a charisma persuasion check?
Okay. Give me advantage. 18.
Nice. Drop that nat 1. We'll take the 18. That'll be delightful. Okay, yeah. So Cloak just sort of scoots his way through the crowd, and just like he's on his way home from morning errands, slips into the alleyway by the building, wanders off. Okay, you make your way into the dark, kind of narrow confines of this stretch between these buildings, and every window that you can find into this house is closed and shuttered tight. You make your way all the way around to the back, and it does not appear to have a back door, but it does have one of those like cellar door bulkheads, if you know what I'm talking about, like the angled doors.
Yeah. Can I? Is that padlocked?
Taking a look at it, there is indeed a lock on it. It's not a padlock though. It looks like it's a lock built into the door.
Oh, okay. And how visible am I just to anyone around?
I mean, you're pretty well hidden from the road. There are a few small boats and a barge passing relatively near on the river, and you can see the gullet from where you are, which is this long kind of banana-shaped island that's off the coast of the city itself in the River Argent. And you can see all kinds of dock workers and ship and barge hands running around doing their things, stevedores loading and unloading. But you're a good 500-ish feet away from them. So, I mean, you're one little dude 500 feet away.
Yeah.
You probably don't
I'm not
worry
even
about
on
that.
their radar.
Exactly.
What I want to do is pull out my new crowbar that I got. And roll a stealth check to fucking crowbar the basement door open.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a dexterity stealth check. See how quietly you can do this.
18.
Very quietly, and 18 is nice and quiet. Okay, so now give me a strength athletics check with advantage because of the crowbar.
All right.
That is how that do.
I got a 10?
10. So there is a soft cracking and splintering of wood. It looks like you've loosened the door, but you didn't quite manage to pop it free. So I'm going to need another stealth check.
All right.
Assuming you want to try again.
Yeah.
Ooh, nat 20. All right. So you just kind of casually keep leaning on the bar and go ahead and make me another strength check with advantage.
Okay. Click advantage. Give me that athletics. A 9.
A 9. Yeah, you're having trouble. You're not quite able to budget. Do you want to try a third time?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to need another stealth check from you. Ooh, 8. Interesting. All right. Go ahead and make your strength athletics check with advantage again.
No, I'm not.
9. Yeah, you're having trouble. This is a stout oak door, and it's quite hardy.
Okay. One more time.
One more time. Make me another stealth check, please. Much better. We like that. 23. That'll be good. Okay, so you kind of take a moment, reset. You wait until you hear some louder voices up by the street kind of pass by, and then you go at the crowbar and the lock again. Let's see how you do.
All right. If this doesn't work, I'm totally going to get glass. 14?
14? All right. So you kind of put your boot on it, and with a little muttered gnomish grunt, give it a good kick, and it pops the lock. And thanks to how you had it situated in there, it doesn't make a much sound, even as you pop the bolt out of the door frame on the other side of the door.
Okay.
And the whole door kind of gives a little bit.
Okay. I'm gonna open the door and sneakily get in there.
Okay.
And it's not gonna lock behind me, is it?
No.
Okay.
This is probably going to require some repairs if this ever wants to lock again. Because basically what you've done is cracked the wood around where the bolt locks into the other door, and like half cracked it and half just pried it up. so the bolt won't seep back down into it well.
Okay. And I'm gonna give a perception down here to see what I see with my dark vision.
Okay, so you pop the door open and kind of slip inside with a little swirl of red cloth and green moss. You slip into the gloom inside the cellar. You carefully let the door fall closed, and you can see this like blade of sunlight shining in from the morning into the dark, and there's dust swirling around in it, and that blade slowly cuts down to a razor sliver and then is gone as the door settles down. And it takes a moment for your eyes to adjust, and you can see a short flight of stairs that lead down into the cellar proper. Right in front of you, it looks like there is a shelf that has like dry goods, like maybe bags of flour, beans, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna stealth down here, and I want to see if I can find anything sleeping or living, and then make my way out of here. Just kind of like reconnaissance and not really engaging in anything.
Okay. All right, why don't you go ahead and make me a dexterity stealth check? There it is. Good, 23. Nice.
Yeah. I'm good at sneaking.
It's a sneaky time. Ooh. All right. So as you're lurking down in the basement, you're sort of carefully picking out your places to step and moving your way amongst the gloom. As you come around the corner of those shelves full of cloth sacks, and you see stacks of other basically stuff you'd find in a house's basements, right? Boxes, dry supplies, that sort of thing. You stop as you can feel the hair kind of prickle on the back of your neck, and you get a terribly bad feeling. So you freeze and kind of pull yourself into the shadows, such as it is in the dark, into the recess between a wooden crate and those shelves, and you look up and you see on the ceiling a figure clinging and quietly slipping past you. It turns its neck almost all the way around, and you can barely pick out this chalky white pasty complexion and this faint reddish gleam that catches some stray hint of light that flashes in the dark. Those eyes flash past where you're hiding and keep going. It kind of pans its head one way, pans the other, and you hear it sniff. Its lips peel back from its teeth, and you can see long fangs. And it scuttles almost silently, but you hear this faint scrape of its boots on the underside of the wood flooring above that makes the ceiling of the basement.
Can I get out of here quietly?
You lose sight of it as it kind of scuttles around a corner. It looks like the basement down here is sort of an L shape, and it scuttles past you and around to the other side of the basement. So currently, it looks like you have a clear path to the exit.
I'm still stealthing the fuck back to the exit and getting the fuck out of here. You're plenty quiet. So why don't you make me one more dexterity stealth check as you make your way up the stairs and out the door? 13. Oh god, this is
do it like this.
Just something real quick. Oh. Because of the disadvantage imposed by the darkness, you manage to slip past. And as you duck around a corner, you see its hands come around the side with these long nails. And it's not like digging into the stone or anything. It's just clambering on the stone wall. And it comes around and like its hands stuck to the wall. It flips its legs down so it's upright, clinging up on the ceiling, up next to the ceiling, and just sort of... and its eyes sweep right past just after you manage to duck into the stairwell and up toward the bulkhead. You know that if you open the door now, the light streaming in will give you away.
I'm going to wait.
You just kind of, with your heartbeat thundering in your ears, you hold your breath until you hear this faint scraping that recedes. You hear nothing, see nothing for a count of 100.
Okay, then I would very quietly open the door very, very narrowly to let basically the least amount of light pollution into the area.
So basically you're going to push the door up just as much to allow you to squeeze your way through.
Yeah, and that's not much. I'm just like, oh.
Nope, you're a little dude. Yep. So even as quick and small as that gap in the door is, it to you it feels like you're setting off a flare in that dark, gloomy basement as the sunlight just sort of washes across your face and mask. You feel like your cloak lights up from within, like this red beacon as the sunlight hits it, and you slip out into the day. And you carefully let the door settle back down onto its rest. And you slowly let out a deep breath.
Yeah, I very very calmly act like, that's a normal day. Just like start walking away, pretend I'm locking the door, and then walk back to everyone there. And as soon as I get to Riordan, I go, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit, holy shit. I went to a basement. Holy shit. Vampires are fucking scary.
There's one in there. Oh, was it her? Was it Virginia?
Probably more than one. There's probably so the windows are all boarded up and not boarded up, but covered up with like thick curtains. And I went to the basement and I broke it open. Yeah, no, there was one crawling around the ceiling. Luckily, it never saw me the whole time because I'm good at hiding. But you know what? Holy shit.
Amazing.
I've seen some scary shit, but Jesus fucking Christ.
This is good news. It's very good news. Like, very good news indeed.
Right. All right.
So now we just go in and kill them all.
Yeah, that's my plan. I would like to go kill these things. And send Riordan in first because he's the one in the heaviest of things and probably won't get turned into a vampire if he gets bit.
Well, honestly, I would.
Oh, you would?
It sounds good. No, I mean, honestly, I'd love to.
Oh, okay. I imagine if we make commotion and guards come, we can be like, holy shit, this place is full of vampires. And they'll be like, how'd you know there was vampires? Well, we knocked on the door, and the door was open. And then, lo and behold...
I don't know how I feel about involving the Rosners on this one.
We don't have to... It
kind of feels like something I've got to settle myself,
I mean, just in case. I mean, we're going to settle it right now. Well, we're coming in after you. We're not sending you in there by yourself. There's one that I know of. There's probably more. I said we go over there right now. And take care of this.
Is there, Dan, are the windows boarded shut or curtained closed?
So as far as you can tell, it looks like they're shuttered, and you can't really see what's going on inside of that. You could maybe try and pop one of the shutters open, get a better look.
So I was wondering if we need to potentially draw them to maybe light. We could probably pry open a shutter, cause a distraction on the front part of the building, and then send Riordan back if you like. I don't know if that would cause any light to go inside, but I'm sure that we could try it.
I mean, we could do like a flanking maneuver, but there'll be two of us. I don't know how many are inside. I know there's one at least.
I can tell you there's going to be more than one. I've never encountered one on its own other than Riordan, but now you're obviously different. But
I mean, we could just totally set the house on fire.
That
Do
doesn't
that,
feel very
but then also
personal.
we might get in trouble with the authorities outside here that they know, maybe.
Fires
Doesn't
tend
feel
to spread
personal enough.
a lot, but
Fire in cities tends to draw attention very quickly.
I mean, we could say that we were investigating the property to purchase, and therefore open shutters, and then if we get a reaction out of anybody inside, we could see.
I mean, I really feel like I need to do this, one-on-one, like I mentioned before. The tentacles, eyeballs, the tongue. I mean, the fire invades all.
You can't have all the glory to yourself. I'm just saying. You're great
It's already
now. You've done
glory
great.
after so much as sort of punishment, I guess.
if we know there's one in the basement, do we start at the basement and then head up from there?
That was my thought.
We could try.
We all stick together, focus them, and then we might get swarmed, and then we take care of them there.
Can I leave? Can I have a moment to send my raven back to Rowan to let her know where we are and what's going on? So just in case,
Sure.
If nobody hears from us for a few days, then maybe Rowan will know.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, sure.
All right.
Certainly.
So, I'm going to cast Mage Armor on myself. So,
Okay.
Glaz just
he's
kind
gonna
of
go ahead and-
blinks behind his glasses and bounces his gaze from one to the other, and then mutters something in Unkashelian, touches his chest, and you see that blue shimmer.
yeah, sort of that orange, the carnelian sort of stoniness of his hide seems to glow a little bit.
All right. Tilly calls Forrest Baldwin, tells him
All right.
the basic knowledge of location. There is a threat. It is in the basement. And if you don't hear from me by nighttime, then that's where we are.
So Baldwin sort of listens to you, canting his head from one side to the other, then nods once gravely, spreads his gleaming wings, and takes off toward the dancing bear.
All right. I don't feel comfortable going without her, but I mean, we have to do it if we need to do it.
So what's the plan, guys?
I think we'll be fine.
We could just throw the door
In
open.
through the
They're
basement,
not
I guess.
they're not gonna meet us at the light, so we can at least use that to our advantage.
Right.
Yeah?
I'm very happy about all of this.
I can tell. It's I'm glad you're proud for the fight. I'm excited for you too.
All right.
I'll lead the way. Then.
So, Riodan throwing open the door to the basement and heading in.
Sure am.
Is that the plan? All right. What order are you guys going in? Riodan in first.
Yeah. And then me stealthing behind him.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
assuming
then I'll
Glaz
go.
is going to be throwing spells from the back.
Yeah, I would say
So
I'd be between
Riodan-
cloak and glass.
Tilly, and then Glaz bringing up the rear. Got it. Okay. So,
Tilly's gonna look at
Riodan,
glass and go, get one of those mugs of ale ready, because we're gonna need it. I'm just saying.
all right, Riodan, you
We're doing it.
stride up to the bulkhead, and you can see where Cloak kind of not super perfectly, but definitely effectively broke the lock open, and you can see that it's just sort of resting on the other door, so there's really nothing holding it together. You grab hold of the handle and just heave it open and stride down with the sunlight streaming down across your back. You flex your arm, bringing out the handle of the lash, and the blood scourges kind of spatter on the wall and then coil back at your feet as you head down into the darkness. So, let us see how this goes. Your dark vision resolves much as I described before. When Cloak was in there, you can see immediately the shelves in front of you, a few crates and boxes around the corners, and you can see that the basement goes ahead for maybe 20 feet or so and then takes an L bend to the left.
I look back to Cloak just to check. What point did you see the creature?
Oh, like literally, if we're at the L bend, I like point up. I'm like, oh.
so basically you point at the last place that you saw it?
Yeah.
Or, okay. So he points
not
right
the
at
last place I saw it. The first place I saw it.
So the first place he saw it, he points to the ceiling, kind of right above the edge of the shelf, the shelving unit that's nearby.
I'm going to peer through the darkness just to see if I can spot anything if I look a bit closer.
Alrighty.
That's a 10.
A 10. So you have disadvantage because it is dark down there.
Yeah, you're right. And a 6.
6. All right. So no, looks clear in the basement at the moment.
Can I roll perception for the thing?
You are not in front at the moment, so no.
Okay.
Because Ryodan spearheading the environs here.
If it jumps on my back, kill it.
Nice.
Okay.
And I'll stride forward.
All right, heading in. Everybody else kind of heading along with him, or what?
Yeah, and actually in Glass, I mean, at this point, well, I think that, I mean, I'm going to bring out the lantern so that we've got the magical light in case there's magical darkness down here or something like that, or especially if it's invisible. So Glass is going to, come up to the rear, but then it sheds light in 60 feet, I believe. 30 bright and another 30 beyond, and reveals anything that or anything that's invisible. So I open it up.
So you are using an action to actually activate the revealing property of the Heart of Flame to reveal invisibility around you.
I think the invisibility is just part of the lantern revealing. I thought that the Heart of Flame was the magic.
Since the Heart of Flame doesn't require fuel, you have to use an action to activate it, and it lasts for an hour.
Yeah, we've talked it. I always forget it. So yes, I activate it.
Okay, so you open up the shutters fully on the iron lantern, and it flares with this intense azure light that just rolls in a wave down into the darkness, pushing the shadows back and driving them into these dancing and flickering columns that stretch out from the obstructions between the lantern and the walls. So, Ryodan, you're kind of standing in the middle of this convergence of light and shadow that are now dancing on the walls and ceiling from the lantern behind you. You make your way into the basement, and I will go ahead and allow that to cancel your disadvantage, and because of that, you will see movement around one of the stacks of boxes just before the figure steps out and strikes, so you are not surprised. Let's roll some initiative, shall we?
Okay.
Let's do this.
Can't wait to fight this thing.
Ooh, look at Glass with a nat 20 on initiative.
Oh, nice.
I was jumpy.
13.
Oh, wow.
All right. Second. All right. Anybody above 20? I heard a natural 20 there, so.
I think other people are still higher than me, though.
So, 25 to 20.
Me, 21.
Glass is on 21 as well.
I'm 20, but
20. Jeez, you guys are fast. All right, so we'll go Cloak since you're closer. And then Glaz. That sound good?
Mm-hmm.
And then Tilly's a 20. Jesus. Where are you at, Ryodan?
I'm a first. 13. Humble.
13.
13.
All right, so I see what I did there. Let me fix this one. I had actually put Ryodan on the track.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
Forgotten again.
Yes. All right, so Cloak, Glaz, and Tilly, you guys don't see the threat before they strike, so you guys are surprised. Ryodan, you are not surprised because you saw the figure kind of lurching towards you from the darkness. And so that at least brings your guard up as a figure comes darting with blinding speed along the ceiling from around the bend in the basement. You can hear its claws scraping stone, and you can see the gleam in its eyes as it strikes at you from the ceiling.
Come get some.
Oh, that's a nat 1. So you're using a shield? Are you using a shield?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
So you throw your shield up and you catch the vampire's first strike directly in the middle of your shield with a resounding, almost a gong note, and then you punch with the rim of it and catch it on the jaw. You know that wouldn't do any damage to it, but that staggers it enough that its second strike goes wild and scrapes off your armor ineffectually. Ryodan, that's your turn. So there is a figure off to your right and the vampire on the ceiling.
Can I reach the vampire with my scourge?
Yes.
Okay, then I will do that, and I'll direct my lash to get the 3 tentacle attacks.
Go for it.
For a 23, a 29, and a nat 20 or 31. Holy moly.
So that'll be 2 hits and a critical on this poor bag.
That'll do it. So 9 is a crit, and 5 is the other one, for a total of 19 points of damage from a tentacle attack.
Damage me. Ouch.
And it has to do the save, I believe. Con save.
Yep. Takes 19. Owie. All right, so he needs to make a save. What's the DC? And what
15.
manner of saving throw?
Yeah,
so he passes. So he manages to throw off the barbed lashes before they begin to drain his vitality, his stolen vitality that he's been probably pilfering from countless citizens of Zobek in recent nights. All right, so that was Ryodan. The thug sort of comes into the light. You see an individual dressed in sort of dark clothing, and it has the kind of pale, sallow look that you've come to expect of the living peasantry and stock of the Blood Kingdoms. And he has just kind of a simple but wicked-looking cudgel that he strikes out at you with. So he is going to have advantage on this due to his pack tactics. 18. I don't think that's going to hit you because you're plate armor and shield.
That is correct. It's 20.
Right. And no good. All right. So he just begins pummeling ineffectually on your armor, and you see another figure moving somewhere. Just like there's faint movement back in the back of the backside of the basement. Outside, Glads, you are surprised by a fellow who fires a crossbow at you from the upper story windows.
Damn it!
That is only going to be a 12.
15 with my
with mage armor.
Mage armor.
Second shot is another. That's no good. No good. All right, so 2 crossbow bolts come whizzing down from the upper story, and they clatter off of the force that sort of the invisible force shield that flares into being and sends the bolts off into the grass. Top of the order is Cloak.
So how many figures are in front of me, or that are attacking Ryodan?
You can see 2 figures attacking Ryodan. There's a vampire on the ceiling, sort of a rough and tumble ruffian fellow on the ground, and you can hear sounds of crossbow fire from behind you.
Okay. So the one in front of us that Ryodan attacked, I'm going to go after. Okay. For the time being. Let me get my...
Did you make your stealth check? I can't remember.
I did not make my stealth check yet.
Okay. You were hidden, so go ahead and make me a dexterity stealth check to see if you can get the drop on this guy.
Okay. Does a 16 work?
16 will do it. He is distracted with Riodan at the moment, and you manage to kind of come around the corner of the stairwell and strike up at him before he spots you.
Does that give me advantage on the attack, or
you have advantage on the attack roll? Yes.
Okay. So this is what I have my planar warrior added onto it. So let's give that roll. 14.
14 is not good enough, unfortunately. So you lash out at him, and he does an impossibly agile maneuver where he sort of twists in defiance of gravity and spins out of the way and drops back down onto all fours up on the ceiling and hisses at you.
Well, as he's like doing that, I'm jumping up and lashing out at him again with my
this one with no advantage.
Oh shit, that's a 15?
15 hits.
Alright. So this is going to be a d8 plus 4 plus another d8, so it's 5. That's force damage right here. 8 force damage with that.
Whew. So 13 total?
Yeah.
Ouch. All right. It shrieks in pain as the crackling blue blade strikes out at it and bites deep into its flesh, and you hear a bone snap under the strike of your blade. Glaz, your turn.
So quick question. So I see sort of above me, I mean, is it one window, two windows? How high up is it?
2 windows that opened on the second story, so they're between 10 and 15 feet up.
10 and 15 feet up. And about how far apart are they?
They're probably 10 feet apart.
Okay. Can I see into them?
You can, yeah. You can see silhouetted figures cocking and loading their heavy crossbows.
Glaz, yells down there, "We have company upstairs." I look up through the window, and if I can look through the window, can I sort of see the ceiling above them?
Yeah, you can get a glimpse.
On a point above in the ceiling of the room above them, I cast Lay Disruption.
Ooh, right. So what saving throw? What saving throw do they need to make?
It is a 14, and they are at disadvantage because I am bound to with my ley line back at the Everforge.
Right, and what manner of saving throw is it for them? Is it dexterity?
It is a dexterity saving throw.
Alrighty. Ooh, that still unfortunately is no good. So one fails, and the other fails with their whopping +0 dex. So you hear cries of sudden alarm from the second floor as Glaz reaches down and kind of holds his hands out, palm down toward the ground, and you see these strange angular lines of red light lance up into his hands, and he throws them up, and you watch those lines crawl up the walls, and then you can see the walls around the windows beginning to undulate and wave as if they're in a sudden, very localized earthquake. So those two guys fall on their asses.
Yep, and every time they start their turn, they have to check again.
Yep. Glaz, Tilly.
I have 2 questions for you, Dan, if you don't mind. Am I in the light or in the dark? Like, am I in the sun coming into the door or around the corner?
So you're 2 people back. You're in the 3rd position back, so you're basically still in the sunlight.
Okay, and I'm trying to imagine.
Well,
yeah, I mean more like the daylight, but yeah.
The daylight is streaming around you right now.
Now let me try to see. Does the stairs go down and then the wall turns, and that's the L shape we're talking about? So the sun is hitting a wall, and then
the stairs go down, and the sun is shining because of the way it's angled, basically just onto the floor in front of the stairs. So it's not really like flooding out into the room. So it's not. The stairway looks out into the basement, but the sun is at a very steep angle.
Okay, so dumb question. Pardon me for being fairly new to playing the fighter with a shield. Can I use my shield to reflect light over there?
Given that maybe if you were in a little bit more...
I feel like Tilly had some of these fights before, and she would know that the daylight is going to be the most proficient and quickest way for her to catch up to them. But if it's more of a battered plate armor, I don't know if it would actually do enough reflection.
So, like, your shield would reflect some light, and you think maybe it would be able to distract or dazzle the vampire. You don't think it's going to do any appreciable damage to it. Maybe if it was like sun directly overhead streaming right down on you, you could manage something like that, but it's just not really in your favor that way.
Okay. I think, okay, so back in character, Tilly is going to step back and try this, because Tilly is still 2 people behind the first vampire, and it's going to take me a bit in these hallways to get around, and flailing a hammer is not going to be the best decision with them in close quarters. So, if I can at least distract one of the vampires from stabbing away at Riordan, that would be great. Maybe the one at the ceiling, so I can bounce right back up at him.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and, let's see, what would this be? I'm going to make him make a saving throw. So you angle your gleaming silver-plated shield to catch the light and stream it up toward the ceiling where the vampire is squaring off against Riordan and now Cloak. So it hisses and throws its arm up in front of its eyes, and it looks like it's having some difficulty with the intensity of the light.
Great.
It looks like you're not sure if it managed to shield its eyes in time or not, but it looks like it is very unhappy about having sunlight bounced up in its face.
Tilly just yells at it, "Eat this, you Scottish awful!" and then gets over there and shines the light.
Nice. All right, so that would be vampires. So this vampire is going to be suffering some disadvantage on its attack rolls this turn because of that maneuver. It is going to... it's going to try and strike at Cloak. That, even with disadvantage, is going to be a 20. Does that hit?
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Look.
That hits me, Dan, because you always hit me.
Except for last time when I didn't hit anything.
That's true, but I was making Constitution saving throws.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, I lost my stuff here. All right. Okay, so why did all of my windows minimize? Sorry. There we go. All right. So it's going to... It lashes out with a claw and wraps its hand around your cloak and pulls you up toward its gnashing maw. I forgot to toggle his disadvantage, but unfortunately, you managed to kind of get your hand up and sort of mash its face away, and it doesn't manage to sink its fangs into you. However, you do take some slashing damage from the claw. You're going to take 9 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
All right. Riordan, there is movement from... Tilly, make me a wisdom perception check, and I'll take away the disadvantage because you're shining sunlight up on the ceiling.
Well, it's not going to be good anyways, but I'll do it. Let's see. Wisdom. Okay, so... I need a -1, and I don't know how to do this. I can -2 with the click, but so I'm just going to do die. Is it dice?
Forward slash die.
Die. I got it. 20 -1. That works. Well, it's a 10.
Okay, so a 10 is good enough. That's all you needed. You recognize the figure clinging to the ceiling. The short blonde hair, the particular angular cut of its cheekbones. That's Ladislav, the vampire who warned you, who Rowan ripped his fangs out of his skull, and who you ordered your men to burn on a pyre.
Oh, poopy.
He,
Sorry, I didn't know if it was a family-friendly yes or not.
We've been calling it the fuck house.
Oh goddamn!
That was a hell of a time to fuck. And how it was a family friendly. Oh man!
I'm gonna say, man, we've just been hanging out talking about the Temple of Painful Pleasures and the book fetish. So if this is family friendly, I need to reassess a little bit here.
I talked about devils ripping a man apart.
You know, I've got a short-term memory, but so Tilly definitely is gonna be heightenedly angry at this because he's supposed to be dead and gone.
He is supposed to be dead. Ryoden, you're up.
Okay. There's still a vampire in my face, and I'm not feeling great about that. And I would like to correct that mistake. So I'm gonna send the lash in. I did damn good last time. 24, nat 20 again, and 24.
All right, so that'll be 2 hits and a critical once again, sir. And I will say also, you can see because of the sunlight that Tilly is reflecting up at the vampire, even though it's not really intense enough to burn it, you can see its skin is blistering even in that faint contact, and that is preventing it from sealing many of the wounds that you've already dealt to it.
Good to know.
Well, that's 12 damage and a DC 15 Constitution saving throw from my buddy.
All right. Con save DC of 15 is going to pass, unfortunately.
Dang.
So we're going to just hold together. He kind of puts his arms up and catches the lashes around his forearms. They don't manage to get a hold of anything vital. Ryoden, Thug's time. So there's a thug next to you who's going to strike at you with his mace. He's got a whopping 16. That ain't going to do it.
The cackle in his face.
Laz, you can hear muffled curses echoing from the disruption and protesting creaking of wood and cracking of plaster. So what is it they have to...
At the beginning of their turn, they have to do another dex save or remain prone. Or, well, here's how it says.
They have to make a save from again, yeah.
They have to do a dexterity saving throw if... for any creature in the area when it appears, that starts its turn in the area, or that enters the area for the first time on a turn, must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or fall prone.
Okay.
So not if it starts.
Yeah. I mean, they're already prone.
In the area.
The issue is they're at half movement. So what they're going to do is something arguably pretty stupid. You see these two guys basically grab hold of the windowsills after kind of shouting back and forth to one another. They've dropped their crossbows, and they basically just heave themselves out the windows, and they kind of like hang and drop as best they can. They're going to take a little bit of falling damage. Oh!
Does it matter?
You hear... what's that?
Never mind. You already said it's half movement because it's difficult terrain.
Yeah,
I was just going to ask.
This is essentially their entire turn. Unfortunately, it's going to take their actions to manage this, and then getting their asses up. So they basically have to heave themselves out the window and then dash to stand up.
Gotcha.
So they will manage that, and you hear something pop as they hit the ground and then stagger up to their feet. One of them looks like he's limping a little bit, landed a little hard on his ankle. All right, so that is Cloak, top of the order.
The one that has me. Wait,
I think you skipped me, Dan.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, thugs are the last in the order. This round, you lay disrupted them.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just been that long since we've come all the way around. Never mind.
Yeah.
I forgot. Lash usually isn't at the top.
Right.
So yeah, Cloak at this time, he's trying to be gnawed at by this guy. Is Tilly shining the light in his face?
The one who's got you, he's having light shined up from Tilly.
Okay. As he puts his hand up, and I was like, "Look, opening!" And then like jab under his fucking jaw with my planar warrior. Do I have any advantage of how he is right now, or
your attacks? No.
Okay. I just wanted to double check, make sure. All right. So this attack does a 22 hit his jaw. 22 hits. So this will be again. God damn it. That is 6 force damage. 5 slashing, 1 force damage. Then my other attack,
entire attack is force damage.
Okay. So I do that, and then if he's still up, I'm literally jabbing the same thing again.
Okay.
Actually, only one hand is holding me right now, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Now I'm gonna jab his jaw again, kind of fucking up his teeth too at the same time. At least trying to. Does a 14 hit his AC?
14. No, unfortunately, he's incredibly strong, even for his thin, wiry frame, and he just sort of handles you around, and you can't get a good strike at him with that second.
Okay. All right.
So I believe that's your turn.
Yep.
Tilly.
So is let's say Ladislav, right?
Ladislav, yep.
He's behind the guy that's already on the ceiling with cloak.
No, Ladislav is the guy on the ceiling with cloak.
With cloak. Okay, well then Tilly, I'm sorry, ignores all of her attacks at that point and just rushes in to try to hammer him, but just right off the ceiling and potentially on the ground. So.
All right, so to get a decent strike at him, you'll probably have to like push past the flailing cloak and get out into the basement to get room to swing your hammer up at him, which you can do. You have enough movement to move, kind of muscle past your allies, and you'll be kind of right up against that ruffian, but you're kind of ignoring him at the moment, going after the vampire. All right, get him.
All right, she goes for a swing, and it's gonna be. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh, that is a critical hit. Holy moly, people. Wow. So give me double damage dice, please.
Sorry.
Plus your modifier.
Okay. I don't forget. I should remember this, but... 2d8 plus 5.
Oh my god. You hear a wet pop in the side of his face, and the side of his skull is crushed in, and his eye is canted off to a weird angle as his cheekbone is pressed into his face and kind of caved in the side of it.
Tilly shouts at him out. She's coming for the rest of his teeth at this moment.
So you can take your second swing as he is still up.
Cool. Sweet. Wait, no. It's supposed to be with a plus Diegos. Cool. 16. Probably won't.
16 hits?
Yeah, sweet. Okay.
regular damage this time.
Yeah.
Oof.
And a 9.
All right. You catch him on the backswing. You catch him underneath the arm, and you hear ribs shatter. And you can use your bonus action to bash him with your shield if you like.
Is he still on the ceiling?
He is still on the ceiling, yes.
Okay, is he clasping on the ceiling with like another hand or like back legs? Because that's what I'm trying to aim for with my shield at this point.
It's like he's kneeling on the ceiling and striking with his hands, and his knees and like toes. Like imagine if you're on your like kneeling on your knees on the ground. That's what he's doing on the ceiling, and he's just staying there.
Okay, she's gonna aim straight for the side of a knee, to potentially pop them together, but I don't think it's gonna. I roll a 12. It didn't show up in the chat, but it's there.
Okay, 12 unfortunately doesn't.
It's not going to hit. Yeah.
You glance a little wide and draw a shower of sparks from the. I guess it's not stone. It's wood ceiling. You carve a big rent into the stone beam, the wooden beam. All right. So that was your action, bonus action, and movement. It's vampire time. So you are no longer shining sun in his face. He's going to try and bite cloak. And rolls a 2. And we'll attack with his claws. Oh my god, it rolls a 3. So Cloak, you've kind of like got the pommel of your blade up in his face, his half crushed in face, and just trying to shove his gaze away from you so he can't get a good swing at you, and it seems to be working for the moment. Riodan, your turn.
You know what I'm gonna do already, Dan?
I do. Do it.
The triple shot from Riodan.
All right. The blood lash.
Oh, first miss.
Ooh, yeah, that's no good. No good. No good.
But following up with a 25 and a 30 should make up for that a little bit.
That will definitely do it.
9 damage. 2 lashes.
All right. They cut deep rents into his dead flesh, and you can see this thick, syrupy blood starting to ooze out of the wounds, but it doesn't really flow like it should. It's like it's resisting gravity and trying not to bleed out of his veins. Thugs. So the 2 thugs outside drag themselves up off the floor, and they are going to painfully draw out their maces and attempt to smash Glaz's brains in with them. That's a 17, so I believe that'll hit you.
Glaz is going to cast shield.
All right, there's a shimmer of blue force, a ripple in the air, and the thug recoils. So that takes your armor class up to 20?
20 even, yep.
Okay, so he's got another attack coming in at you. That one likewise deflected by your magic. The other guy attempts to come in swinging, and that will hit an AC of 20, so that will be 1 hit.
Okay.
And second attack will miss. So out of all those attacks with advantage, only 1 little clock. But it's a good one. He gets you for 8 bludgeoning damage. Whack.
Okay.
You can feel the bruise starting underneath your carnelian skin lumps. Cloak. Your turn.
Okay, this time we did miss me.
Did we? I'm so sorry.
I haven't gone since. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Totally did. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He goes right after me.
He does.
Yep, no worries. But anyway, so quick question.
Yep.
Shield is a reaction. Does that mean I can't cast another spell?
Negative. You can cast spells just fine. Your reaction refreshes.
Oh, it's on your actual turn. So anyway, Glaz
the only
bonus
thing
action.
Anything is bonus actions. That's it.
Okay. So Glaz as a bonus action is going to cast Shadow Blade, and you'll see this sort of large. It kind of looks like a big obsidian shard because he's a trollkin, so it's not like a real elegant thing. As a cantrip, is going to cast Green Flame Blade, so it lights up with sort of this orange flare, and then he is going to hit the closest thug to him.
Hit him.
Which is, it should be it could be a strength attack, so that's cool. So with +5, 23. Awesome. So that is going to do. Make sure I get all this right. It does 2d8, 2d8 psychic damage. So. So that does 9 psychic damage with Green Flame Blade, because I'm 5th level, does another 6 fire damage. And is one of his Yep, and that's the thing, is his other buddy within 5 feet of him?
Oh yes.
And so that's another 2d8 fire damage to his buddy. So 5 fire damage to his buddy. As
all right, so
yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, he was like, "Wait, you were supposed to stay up there," and then just like, this shadowy sort of kind of club. I think it's probably not a blade as much as it's sort of clubby for
it's just
for
kind
Glaz.
of like a smear of tangible darkness that you grab a hold of.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
And he goes, little help, we have got company, and then just whack, and sort of, I think in his panic, it just unleashes all these different sort of magics out.
Yep. You lash out at him, and as the thing sort of just passes through his body, and he screams and clutches clutches at his head, and blood fountains out of his nose, and then he's engulfed in that orange flame that swirls around him and then jumps to his partner. So the one you struck, is now like half of his face is burnt raw, and he's just streaming blood out of his mouth and nose, and he's kind of breathing raggedly, and you can see his limbs starting to shake. Right, so we'll get down to, we're at Rio, or was it the no, we were at Cloak, your turn.
Cloak, round.
Are we out of time though?
Yeah, do we need to
Just
pause?
about, yeah.
Top of the round.
I think we can.
Yeah.
Honestly, we can.
It's up to you guys.
We're on the cusp here, so you can go ahead and take your round, and then I think we'll be good if we can finish this round up.
Okay. So basically, I'm just gonna double attack this guy, and use my planar warrior. 17 hit.
17 hits.
So this will be the force damage with the other damage, so that will be a total of 14 force damage.
All right, 14 force damage. You since you were using your blade to kind of control his face and drive his strikes away, and sort of herd him into Tilly, you reverse your momentum suddenly, slice your blade through his hand holding you, and cut it off at the elbow. He shrieks in agony, holding the stump, and you reverse your sword and just drive it up through his heart, pinning him to the ceiling. And he sort of flattens back against it, almost like he falls up against the ceiling, and he thrashes and begins shrieking, and his skin starts to slough off and crumble and rain down on you like thick gray snow as it burns to ash.
Awesome. And then as I land, I'm like, Tilly, take my spot! And then I run up the stairs because I heard Glaz yelling.
Okay. And you can take your second shot.
Okay, and then to the one that is not on fire, or which one's closer to me when I get out there?
Closest to you is the horribly wounded one.
I literally jump over Glaz and come down and attack him. So here's this attack. 11.
That hits.
Oh wow. Okay.
Under armor attacks.
He takes 8 damage.
That is just enough. You jump up using the angled frame of the bulkhead for a boost, and drive your sword down just past his collarbone into his rib cage, and just sort of ride his body down to the ground.
And then,
sorry, good.
I was just saying, as that guy falls down, the fire from would start reflecting on the mask and kind of bringing out the colors and all that kind of stuff. And you look at him and it's like, I think you're kind of fucked, dude, and just stare at him.
All right, go ahead and roll your damage class. You're lashing out.
20 hits, and then here's fire damage to him. Fire and psychic 19, 14 psychic, 5 fire.
And so with your backswing, after swatting at the first guy, you catch this guy right through the temple, and he just kind of stiffens, and you can see the blood vessels in his eyes all burst. And he just kind of goes into a seizure and falls backwards, dead.
I told him.
You should have stayed upstairs.
So now that we've slain the vampire spawn, 2 of the thugs, we'll just go ahead and sweep the board for the last guy who's in there facing off against Riodan, who, now that he's got a Riodan and a Tilly in his face, is not long for this world. And so you make quick work of the remaining ruffian. As you do, you recall, your blood is up, you're in the adrenaline rush of battle. You remember seeing, hearing, perceiving movement off in the darkness and the gloom of the basement, or kind of around the corner. As you come moving around there, Riodan, twirling the sanguine lashes and getting ready to strike out at your enemies, you see a figure kind of huddled in the corner, and you can smell old blood, like scabs, clotted, dried blood, and you can smell that just faint, pungent tang of fear. And then you notice the clink of chains, and there are manacles around the figure's wrists. And it's kind of cowering and holding up its manacled and kind of broken, bruised hands in front of its face, and it just sort of pathetically cries out, please don't kill me! I'm not with them! Please! and something about the voice stops you in your tracks. And slowly, with the rattling of chains, it lowers its hands, and you see the black and white, just complete contrast, dark vision image of a face from your past. Janiel looks up at you, one of his eyes swollen shut, his lips split and dried with old blood, and his one eye goes wide, and he says, "Ryodan, is it you?" And that's where we'll stop for this week.
God damn it, Dan.
And there we have
good on any level. Is that God damn it! So good. But I hate it. It's the worst. But it's so good.
It's supposed to be a happy reunion.
Yeah, happy reunion. Maybe I don't know what's gonna happen next week. Probably not good things.
On that, I will unfortunately be traveling next week. So
that's right. Yes.
Unfortunately,
no episode next week. Week after next. There you go.
Back with a vengeance.
That makes sense. Well, let's go around a cast and a crew. Did we enjoy ourselves? Where can we find you guys online? Oh, and of course, you guys are in the chat and you're new to the live stream, hit the follow button and join us. If you've been watching on YouTube, you can subscribe, you can like, you can do all those sorts of things. It's a good time. I had a couple of people from YouTube joining us for the live show today, so it's really nice to see some folks.
Awesome.
I've been watching back on the VODs, joining us here for the live experience. Tomorrow, of course, we're back for Call of Cthulhu Masks of Nyarlathotep at the change time of 2 o'clock Eastern now. You start at 1, now it starts at 2. Crazy world we live in. But let's go around a custom crew. Dan, how was that for you tonight?
That was great. I enjoyed that thoroughly. I always love vampire violence, so that's super fun for me. And I love screwing up stealth rolls, so I get to do creepy shit like a vampire scuttling around on the ceiling like a demonic spider. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. No, we had a lot going on. We had heavy talk. We had lighthearted sort of emotional touchstones with a few people. We had some pulse pounding combat. I like it. I had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed it too.
Absolutely. Fantastic. And Sylvia Jackson, how was that tonight for you?
Tonight was really fun. Frankly, I do miss Scarlet Moth, though. I'm excited to have her back on the next round, hopefully, because her character is just 100. So good. Everybody's character is so good, but I just miss you when you're gone, you know? But today was fun, and I'm excited to have the interaction about explaining who Ladislav was, and then telling Rowan about how we encountered him again, fangless and all. So, also, there goes my cat. So.
Oh, no. He was not fangless. He had fangs.
Yeah, he was trying to bite the fuck out of me.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Ooh, they regenerate. Okay.
Yes, they do.
Well, cool. I had a good time.
Cool.
Thanks for having me again.
Yes. Thanks for coming.
And McLogan, how was that tonight for you?
I had a fun time. Cloak is slowly learning about BDSM, which that's a whole interesting thing. And I really had to think about how Cloak react to that in per se. And I think the best way to think about it is he'd probably seen that as just devils murdering at blood sacrifice, and he's like, nope.
A little different, but definitely close enough to get into that uncomfortable zone for him for sure.
Yeah. I had a great time. I'm keeping it short. But that fucking vampire part was fucking freaky as shit, because I was like, oh my god, like it was just like a horror movie, but I was like the smart guy in a horror movie. Oh yeah. That's me.
Awesome.
Amazing stuff. And Cool School, how's that tonight for you?
I had a blast, and crazy. Glaz is suddenly becoming a melee fighter. Be afraid. And I had a good time. Great little scene that we had with Valia. That was fun. And you can find me all over the internet as Tall Squall. Go to my Twitter, Tall Squall. The pin tweet has everything I'm on. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, you bet.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys for joining us. If you want to follow me, well, congratulations, you've already found me, but you can follow me on Twitter if you want, at EncounterRP, to keep up with all the stuff that the network is up to, all the shows, and awesome content that we're putting out on the Twitch and the YouTubes. But speaking of awesome content, let's go raid our lovely friend, Laugh Love Lindy, who was just earlier today DMing a Call of Cthulhu new show, which is here every 5 o'clock Eastern. That's the show just before this one, Beyond the Mountains of Madness. So we're going to go and give her a raid and go enjoy the laughter and the shenanigans. They are playing some D&D, I believe, so you guys are bound to be in for a good time. You go spam Encounter raid over there and have a good time. But until next time, my friends, try not to roll too many now ones because we want to be here laughing when you do. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.